One indiscriminate day, the world was plunged into catastrophe. People were forced underground and had to rely on the vast subway system to survive. This is how the story of Metro Royale begins. And so, welcome! After the catastrophe, the world was changed forever. New buildings popped up all over the surface, and a myriad of factions no one had ever heard of before sprung forth. The world underground kept developing, growing increasingly complex even as danger lurked in every corner. Some areas even saw the arrival of never-before-seen monsters. To survive in this harsh environment, you must arm yourself and gear up, scour the world for supplies, and eliminate enemies for their loot. Then make your way to the return point and evacuate within the allotted time. After evacuating, you can exchange your on-hand supplies for wealth to purchase even more advanced weapons and equipment. Become even stronger. In times like these, people will do anything to gain an advantage. That's why, when you're out collecting supplies, besides looking out for the various factions, stay vigilant against other players' attacks. If you get eliminated, they'll be able to loot your supplies. However, don't be discouraged. In this place, you'll have like-minded comrades to support you. You will experience the hardships of growth together as you gradually transform into mighty heroes. Are you all ready to face this dangerous yet thrilling new world? Welcome to Metro Royale Rookie Manual. Today, we'll be introducing Metro Royale modes to help you get to know the features and gameplay of each mode. In Metro Royale, there are 4 modes: the basic map's basic mode and undercover mode, and the advanced map's advanced mode and assault mode. In basic mode, players can open crates or eliminate enemies in the map to get supplies and loot, then reach the return point to evacuate and take home the loot. Basic mode can be a great training ground to help players get familiar with the map environment and resource allocation. And if you don't evacuate safely, no need to worry. Although being eliminated in basic mode will cause your supplies and loot to be dropped, you won't lose your equipment. Activating undercover mode requires an undercover agent ID. Players don't need to bring their own equipment, as they will be undercover and disguised as bandits in the map. Bandits in the map won't initiate attacks on players. This allows players to freely travel between different areas, open crates to collect supplies, without bandits getting in your way. But if players actively attack and eliminate a bandit, their identity will be exposed. Do keep in mind that undercover equipment is weak, so stay vigilant against other players. Activating advanced maps requires a certain loadout value. Compared to basic maps, advanced maps are more abundant in supplies and have more diverse gameplay. Radiation zones can only be found in advanced maps and are full of supplies, which attracts lots of players. Many enemies are also stationed there, making for intense combat. Players eliminated in advanced mode have a certain probability of dropping their equipment, leading to high risk and high rewards. Activating assault mode also requires a certain loadout value. When entering assault mode, players don't need to bring their own equipment and will enter a match that is already underway with other players. Enemies in the map won't initiate attacks on players, but players that actively attack and eliminate them will have their identity exposed. Players eliminated in assault mode won't lose the equipment they had before the start of the match, and players who evacuate safely will obtain additional rewards. And since advanced maps are abundant in supplies, playing assault mode is a great opportunity to cash in on the low risk and high reward. That's it for the 4 Metro Royale modes. Choose the mode that best suits you and enjoy the fun of different modes. Welcome to Metro Royale Rookie Manual. Today, we'll be introducing the Frontline Confrontation map. Frontline Confrontation is a Metro Royale map suitable for rookies. This is where the Steel Front and the Cobras once fiercely fought. Members of both factions have remained even after the ceasefire. Due to the urban areas of Frontline Confrontation being relatively spread out, there is a lower chance of encountering other players when collecting supplies. The overall pace of this map is relatively relaxed. However, the terrain being mostly flat results in a very open view. Most areas only offer trees or rocks as cover. Thus, you'll need to be extra careful of enemies when moving about and evacuating. That's why, many players opt for the underground routes. Frontline Confrontation has 5 underground areas, 2 subway lines, a tunnel, a storage vault, and an armory. Be aware that enemies hiding in the dark underground areas are difficult to detect. Those who wish to safely explore the underground areas should bring a night vision helmet, night vision goggles, or a thermal sight scope to see enemies in the dark. Since Frontline Confrontation doesn't have a radiation zone and urban supplies are spread out, those wishing to collect supplies quickly can go to the underground storage vault connected to Battle Line. After scavenging the surface, head deeper underground to search for more supplies. Furthermore, Frontline Confrontation has 2 password-locked doors, located at Tribe and Yasnaya PD. They must be opened using password letters of the corresponding color. Password letters are commonly found in the file cabinets or file packages. The supply crates behind the password-locked doors contain valuable items that can be sold and are important resource points. Of course, you can also challenge the bosses. Apart from the 2 permanent bosses marked on the Frontline Confrontation map, bosses also randomly spawn. These bosses have high health and varied attacks. Before challenging them, make sure to have enough ammo and consumables. When fighting a boss, utilize the cover of your surroundings or move quickly to dodge attacks. Defeating these powerful enemies provides a chance to get better equipment. That's all for this intro to the Frontline Confrontation map. Go explore it yourself. Welcome to Metro Royale, Rookie Manual. The old blockade zone was formerly a military-restricted area, but now 2 evil forces divide the land. If Frontline Confrontation could be considered as a new player's tutorial, then Old Blockade Zone would be their first real adventure into the underground. Old Blockade Zone is more abundant in supplies than Frontline Confrontation. However, accessing the Old Blockade Zone's advanced mode also has a higher loadout requirement. Old Blockade Zone is a dense urban area with tightly packed buildings. While collecting supplies, it's common to encounter other players, so don't let down your guard while exploring. Of course, you can also move around via the underground routes. Although Old Blockade Zone only has 1 subway line, it's vast and complex, connecting multiple areas of the underground. Of those areas, the deserted base is a dark zone. Dark zones have lots of supplies, but are also shrouded in danger. Night vision equipment is a must. Continue following the subway line to reach the radiation zone. The radiation zone has the best rewards, but also the most risk. It contains valuable supplies, but is full of radiation and danger. When entering, be ready to face radiation and enemies. Besides the fast procurement of supplies in the radiation zone, Old Blockade Zone also has 3 password-locked doors, blocking you from some high-value sellable items. They're located in the barracks, snake pit, and the underground garage. Password letters of the corresponding color must be used to open the door and obtain the supplies. To obtain better supplies and equipment, you will need to challenge and eliminate bosses. Apart from the 2 permanent bosses marked on the map, there are also a few points that randomly spawn invasion bosses that provide more opportunities to obtain equipment. That's all for this intro to the Old Blockade Zone map. Go explore it yourself. Welcome to Metro Royale, Rookie Manual. Today, we'll be introducing the Misty Port map. Misty Port was originally a small portside town with a pleasant climate, but a few incidents left it a desolate area that is now restricted. Only 2 major forces remain, competing for resources. Misty Port's main activity area is 1,700 by 900 square meters. It has rich and complex terrain, and although the urban resource points are scattered, there are many zip lines around the map connecting to the subway line, allowing you to get around quickly. Because of this, Misty Port's overall battle pace is quite fast and intense. The 2 boss spawn points act as gathering points for battles. Compared to other maps, Misty Port's underground isn't as dark and night vision equipment isn't as necessary. Although the subway line is very long and spans the entire map, those wanting to quickly collect supplies will have to go to the radiation zone, the mine warehouse. The mine warehouse is located in the upper right side of the map. Many mutated enemies lurk there, and the large warehouse lab at the center randomly spawns a mutant boss Variant F who uses fire, or Variant P who spews venom. These mutants guard the warehouse's valuable supplies. Compared to the two previous maps, the high-value sellable items in Misty Port are more common. To quickly get these supplies, you can skip opening crates in the radiation zone and head to the 3 password-locked doors instead. Obtain password letters of the corresponding colors to open them, and obtain the loot within. There are 2 fixed bosses in Misty Port, Firejoy and Fire Roy, that use fire attacks. When challenging them with teammates, spread out as much as possible. Also, be aware that there is chance in each match for the bosses to become reinforced. The bosses can then transform into special bosses that use drones and shields, Handsome Jesse or Handsome Pete. When facing off against them with teammates, make sure to focus your fire. Defeating these powerful enemies provides a chance to get better equipment. That's all for this intro to the Misty Port map. Go explore it yourself.
Introducing PUBG Mobile's Metro Royale. Aside from the classic Battle Royale mode, now it also includes the Metro Royale game mode. Metro Royale tests players' shooting and evacuation strategies. Make sure to load up your inventory with equipments, ammunition, and healing supplies before entering the battlefield. There are 2 extraction points on the map. Plan your route strategically to maximize the extraction of your loot and return safely to the lobby. The main objective will be maximizing the loot value before heading to the extraction point within the time limit, as the loot will carry forward for your progress in future games. There are different types of unique bandits, ranging from normal bandits to snipers and cobra bandits. Make sure to defend yourself from other players too. Survival should be your first priority, as all current inventory items will be lost upon elimination. Buy various weapons, armor, attachments, and advanced items from the merchant in the black market to upgrade your loadouts. Progress will be carried forward, which can continuously enhance the strength of your equipment. Choose the map selection at the bottom left side. Currently, there are 4 maps with unique areas, enemies, and interactions for you to explore. Gain access to advanced mode as you progress, where there are more challenging enemies, higher tier loot, and access to the dangerous radiation zone. The new chapter of Metro Royale introduces a new mode called Zombie Uprising, featuring zombies in place of bandits, significantly more dangerous enemies, new weapons, and higher tier loot. There are many new zombie bosses introduced, each with their own unique characteristics. Keep an eye on the map, as bosses will spawn throughout the game as night arrives. It introduces a day and night system where nighttime exploration becomes significantly dangerous with increased mobs and boss spawns. Stick with your team.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Metro Royale edition of the PUBG Mobile Super League Southeast Asia. And as always, we have the wonderful Choo-Choo to be joining alongside with us. And my name is Contra, as we'll be starting off with some high-flying action here in those Metro Royale bouts. So it's great to be sharing this virtual desk with you once again, Choo-Choo. So how you been doing?
I got my desk, yes. It's going to be two different desks. But yeah, when it comes to zombies, it's going to be zombie time, yeah. And don't forget the fortune favors the brave, the greed, and as well all the one that actually being smart in the game. Don't forget about your timer as well, ladies and gents. And speaking of which, we're already down to week number 3, which means we're getting closer to the grand finals. And so far, we don't see a lot of contenders up there, except for Fellas ID, of course. They're still taking it the number 1 spot.
That's right, and I guess like when it comes down to teams that are trying to get closer to some of these numbers are some names like nongYing, Sam9, and a few others out there who are still trying to battle it out. Therefore, this is definitely going to be an important week for them to get themselves that chance to hit right into the grand final. So with that being said, there's only going to be a couple of teams that will be making it through. So I hope that we'll see some pleasant surprise throughout the course of the day. And if you guys are new to this Metro Royale mode, don't worry. We'll get all of you guys covered. We've already gone through the open qualifiers, and now we're in week 3 of the group stages, as we've had a couple of all these weekends that we've already wrapped up with, and the finals is drawing close on 7th September. That's definitely a date that you want to mark and not miss out.
Yep, and also when it comes to the point system, now if you guys just happen to be new here, don't forget it's going to be some loadout when it comes to the weaponry, the arsenals. So each loadout will be different based on the map. And when it comes to the points here, player elimination, it will be 300,000 worth of each elimination and the points as you saw just now. But it's also keep the players motivating. How will they actually fare in this tournament? It's going to be a total prize pool of $10,000. It's a lion's share of 1,500 USD when it comes to the first place. But everybody's a winner here because all 12 teams will still be awarded by the end of the day.
That's right, and it's a line share of $10,000 to be won for the sheer effort throughout at least a month's worth of tournament. So we'll be taking a look at all the teams that are involved so far. Of course, we've seen some of these qualifying teams to be really popping off, while we do have big names like FaZe Clan, nongYing, and also some of all these teams coming in from Group B, which is M9, to be one of the hot favorites out there. But all eyes are definitely on Group C's Fellas ID if they're going to take another stellar weekend heading into these battles here for the afternoon.
Yeah, we do have the reshuffle of each of the group as well, so they won't be meeting the same group if they even have to, maybe in the grouping in the game itself. But if you guys don't know what the mode of Metro Royale will be, it's going to be a strategy game. It's also a battle, supplies, and bosses. Now, speaking of bosses, there's multiple bosses here depending on the map too. We have variant P, variant F, and all those strange bosses that you don't really see in the Battle Royale mode. When it speaks about loadout preview, this is going to be the Zombies Uprising loadout as well for Vast level 6. Now, this is going to be preset for each of the player, so everybody have a fair share of what they have when it comes to the start of the game.
That's right. As much as I have missed out one weekend of action, I've definitely seen certain teams, they just love those early form of battles. Once again, are they going to play it maybe a little bit safer now that this is the most important weekend of it all for them to qualify to the finals? As we take a look at the current bonus point rankings, Bellas is steady at the top with that 40 points. Boom Wolf also sit with 32 points, 27 for FaZe Clan to make that top 3. HLV, ETS, as well as 7-9, they're also closing in with those numbers, but 7-9, they're not exactly in the best spot possible right now because AKG has 14 points, nongYing with 13, so these are some of the names that we'll be keeping our eyes on to see if there's any chance that they can rack up even more bonus points to close off and make it to the grand finals.
Yeah, but only 6 teams will make it through the grand finals here, so half of the team will be gone. Now, it's going to be a comeback time for the teams at the very bottom. If they can score themselves 20 points for this week, it's going to be a bit of turn of events if MOMs or MetroMini or MCR, MetroCeria and Team Mantap at the very bottom can actually do it. But for Team Mantap, I say it's going to be difficult based on how much they point actually gathered by 2 weeks prior to this. But when it comes to our group stage, yeah, we have Arctic Base and Misty Port of our maps here today. So it's going to be interesting because we do know Arctic Base is quite big as well. We don't have Zombie Uprising this week. So Arctic Base, when it comes to looting, we do know it's going to be a double-digit millions, which I think the highest was around 18 millions worth that you can gain within one run of Arctic Base.
18 if everything goes super smoothly, but for a lot of all these teams out there, there's tendencies with a little bit of a struggle involved in the early game. So most importantly, they need to get those massive stash of loots. I think that throughout these course of weeks, they have already have some really good ideas of how to navigate around some corners of the map to steer clear away from danger. But late game, we also do see a lot of all these cheat strats coming in where you might actually see certain teams setting up some ambushes to try to steal some of those massive loots. So hopefully we see more of that because that has always get me on the edge of the seat. And I hope that, if you guys are joining in for the first time, you guys would also log in PUBG Mobile and explore this Metro Royale mode, which is super fun, super exciting. And overall, it will test all round of whatever skills that you guys have acquired in the Battle Royale mode.
And not just that, it's a bit more in-depth when it comes to compared to Battle Royale. You don't have to think too much when it comes to Battle Royale. Like example here, circles is always going to be the issue. Don't worry, we're still going to have the Battle Royale mode later today, so make sure you guys stay tuned with us because we talked about it. It's going to be the final week as well for Battle Royale mode. But when it comes to Metro Royale, there's so many ways to actually play this game. Speaking of how to get the loot, it's going to be a very different mode compared to Battle Royale because we do know it's all about the looting value. So loot value-wise, there's many ways to play, whether you ambush it for the players in the very last minute, or just go straight for the bosses straight up front, which going to be in the center. You see a bit of a dark area that's going to be the radiation zone that everybody will be aiming for in Arctic Base.
That's right, as we will now begin with the random spot for all the teams involved in this particular grouping of A as well as B. So Group C as well as Group D, they'll be sitting back to actually take a glimpse on how some of these teams will fare in this matchup. As we quickly take a look at nongYing, off to a decent start as they are over onto the north point. Good scatter of area to play out for a majority of all these players. So let's see what they could basically make use of this current spacing. While TMP is taking it slowly, and all the other teams are basically traversing into the middle. FaZe Clan being one of the fastest ones to try to get their way into Missile Silo.
Yeah, Missile Silo will be the radiation spot where they have the most highest value when it comes to this map. And not just that, the boss spawns also will build there as well. Now, speaking of which, we want to see if there's any exit extraction point coming out on top of Missile Silo. If there's one, we're probably going to have more than one team going into the center here. And speaking of going early, FaZe Clan will be one of them as well. And we're going to have to wait and see will they bump into any other teams at all, because there's going to be only a couple entries into Missile Silo too. So there's also detecting or the tactical route where you can actually gatekeep all the teams that are coming out of Missile Silo if there's no extraction point on top of Missile Silo. So that's one way to play it. Or if there's one extraction point on top of it, everybody will want to go there because that's going to be the easiest way out as well after you're done looting.
Yeah, this is where teams will really have to be concerned about their exit strats, because there are times where throughout the passage of the underground, certain teams will just blockade the area so that they can't reach that extraction point as well. But for now, it's a worry for the next couple of minutes, because right now, FaZe Clan have arrived to the radiation zone as they're hoping to gather plenty of stash right here, right now. But nongYing, they're on the other corner already. So this is bound to get pretty interesting between these two Thai squads.
nongYing, well, they are known for getting those eliminations early on, so we can expect they are not aiming for looting so much. When it comes to week number 2, just to fill you the gap and fill in the blanks right for Contra. Now, last week, nongYing actually changed their tactical plays when it comes to the last day, and they actually go for a looting phase instead of going all in for the fight. So, I mean, it might be a change of tactical order, or when it comes to the approach of the game mode here for nongYing this time, where we're actually looking at nongYing going for the loot phase instead of the fight. So I assume there might be an extraction point here, possibly. There's a lot of teams that want to just venture into Mr. Silo all the way.
Yeah, I guess that it's due to their current position in the total bonus points that was being acquired, where nongYing definitely needs as plenty of points that they can get on each respective rounds, where they are not willing to take some certain risks that will see them getting 0 points, while even Boom has also made their way into Missile Silo. 3 of all these teams who are partnered in their own PMPL regions have already gotten pretty much the hang of getting into some sort of altercation at the very least, so they'll be very well aware. But we're already getting shots over onto nongYing members as FaZe Clan is playing this form of an ambush. But with Boom in between, they could just third party into this equation. But they're staying still, not really revealing too much, but they also have to deal with some zombies that may make their way past. Now, interesting enough, Martin later also does have PMCL to play out. Same goes to, some of all these other players that will also get some sort of spotlight. Now, I really do wonder what's FaZe Clan's approach here, because these two teams are getting in the way.
Yeah, but these 3 teams actually will love to have a fight after this. And whoever wins between these 3 teams will actually get the most loot out of this if they keep on looting for each of the teams that is quite nearby. Boom, Fuya spotted out one of the players of FaZe Clan. Now, there's going to be trouble brewing for FaZe Clan, especially since Boom actually get to engage first. They definitely know the entire crew of FaZe Clan will be around here. They do have the spot inside and indoors of the warehouse. Even got themselves on the 2nd floor as well. So when it comes to elevations advantage, they do have it in their hand for Boom. But how much did they score in a 4.5 mil? When it comes to player value, I assume IamJuggle probably will be the looter and the pocket for the team of Boom.
Yeah, and they're definitely taking the best spot possible at the moment to not only dictate the battles later on, but they've already gathered at least 4 mil. If they want to bail out safely, they just have to wait out for a clear passage for them to move out. But for most part, I think that these teams, they're eager to take on at least one squad before they go. And it's just going to be a very, very careful maneuver from all 3 of them right now. As we last saw, Fuya was putting a little bit of pressure onto these members of FaZe Clan. And it's a tough place to infiltrate. Taking a look at this, they do have IamJuggle holding by the doorways. FaZe Clan now sends 2 members through. Smokes now also being popped into one of the entrances, with 2 members trying to approach from the ground floor instead. Nades now being popped right in, but nothing has been seeked out so far. It will definitely take a while before we eventually get our first knock of the matchup. And You know, for the most part, every player is still staying alive. Moms, they only start with 3 players in this match.
Well, it's kind of normal these days. I assume some of them can make it through in the last minute too. But for FaZe Clan and nongYing and Boom, now nongYing staying out of this equation here right now, not taking any part of the crossfire between FaZe Clan and Boom, but I am Juggo. Almost worth 8 million. He got knocked down. There's gonna be trouble brewing on the side of Boom right now. FaZe Clan, how do they respond to this? They get some trade-off between these two teams. But for Zhao, it's not going to be a problem at all for him to actually revive on Kim Tony. I'm waiting for nongYing to make some action because Godot seems to be quite nearby around the corner. Around the mini-map, we actually can see him. Seems to be lurking around. So for nongYing, it's going to be worth 3.4 million of value. But I assume the one that actually will take engagement into this fight will be the one that without any value loot on the side of nongYing players. So we'll wait for the third party to happen anytime soon now.
Yeah, if we are already being taken now, this is not going to be a good start for the side of Boom. Though you did mention that perhaps they already left the player without much loot to be carried to just try to hold line while the rest of Boom try to reposition for the moment. James is being sent out to keep a watchful eye onto the members of nongYing. So it's a good plan coming from FaZe Clan as he will be staying on the outdoors. SOZip also squeezing by. It really seemed like Prime is also making their way into this missile silo area. Got up now. Cracking the code, trying to look for a little bit more loots while the battle will commence onto the tunnels instead. Raze now dealing with the MTP with one knock. Noel's on the ground, but there's plenty of Mantap as they will be able to find 3 members through the efforts of Ray. And this is a true collateral with him acing out an entire squad.
Obliterated the entire crew of Team Mantap. Unfortunately for Team Mantap, it's gonna be another round going down the drain without any points at all, with 4 eliminations, all 4 players ousted. Well, Boom, they definitely scored 1.2 million value worth of eliminations here just now, despite they only have left with 2 players. But value-wise, I mean, Boom, since their pocket's pretty low themselves with 2 players ousted just now, that's going to be 1.5 million worth of value. But surprise, surprise, we have some snake and crawlers inside of the tunnel. Speaking of snake, how sleeky and sneaky can they get?
I'm not too sure if this will work out, but it'll definitely be very interesting because Boom, they're still around these underground passages. And if they're not careful enough, Prime, they should be the one to take those juicy numbers off of the hands of Boom. You know, it's just very unfortunate for Boom Esports that they lost these 2 members and their value has decreased all the way down to 1.6 million at the moment. Look at how careful they are. Like, imagine this slow crawl into Missile Silo where they still have to loot up. I'm not sure if they have too much of a time because there's only about 10 minutes on the clock. So they barely looted. They've only got 600K in their pocket at the moment. So hopefully their tactics here will pay off, but it really seemed like, Boom, they're not walking towards that trap at the moment.
Why would you want to loot if you can just steal and snatch it away from another team? That's what Prime is aiming for. And we saw Boom did exactly what Prime is planning to do last week as well. So I'm not surprised if that's the case, right? Like I mentioned before, there's so many ways to play this Metro Royale mode right now. Whether you want to go for looting is fine. It looks like you're going shopping in the mall. But if you don't feel like looting for the day, you don't want to lurk around, just want to go for all actions, well, they can just gatekeep in the exit route, but it depends on which gatekeeping and which direction they're going for the gatekeeping, because there's so many entry in and out from Mr. Salo as well. And speaking of even the extraction points, there'll be multiple of it. So it's down to a gamble when the teams try to gatekeep these teams from going out. I don't know about Prime, but I don't see them anywhere near nongYing right now.
Yeah, so they're taking an absolutely different passage. nongYing will steer clear away from danger. I believe that they should be good enough to book out of the game, despite them only having 6 mil at the moment. It is currently the highest at this point. So perhaps their game plan right now is just to play by the outskirts now that they're pretty much done and dusted with the missile silo areas of play. But for MetroMini, though, these two players are just scavenging on the outskirts, hoping to at least cash out on close to 1 million if they could. But on the outskirts, you don't really find too many high-value numbers out there. So it's going to be tough for Chiao and the rest of the squad. But boom, it seems like they're happy enough with this 1.6. So they will cash out rather early than to stay put for too long.
Speaking of too long, Boom, it's taking some time for them to rethink about the exit route for the extraction. Well, they found themselves a couple of extraction points across the corner, so I think it's going to be okay for now. But we didn't hit our night time yet. They already ejected Pyro out, so I assume that's going to be the high value player, over 1.5 million possibly on the side of Boom Pyro just now. But for Raze, he knows where the extraction point is. All he needs to do is just trying to just make the best value out of this. Probably going to get a couple of last minute looting or even some bosses. I don't know if he can actually take down one boss by himself, but it's going to be quite a risk since he still holds some value when it comes to the last player of Boom that we last seen. But for Prime, we don't see a lot of actions yet. Now, despite we saw them snaking, I assume there's nobody else inside of Mission Silo right now. Missile Silo right now. So I don't know what they're aiming for down there.
Yeah, that's where I'm really curious. You know, last we saw it was nongYing as well as FaZe Clan, and nongYing has already left that vicinity. Perhaps FaZe Clan is still scavenging around. We shall see in moments' time, as currently FaZe Clan is the team with second highest value of 4 mil at the moment, while Winata might be able to actually spot a couple of these straggling members out there in the field. That's the sole unit of nongYing at the moment. He's taking a look at the extraction point. Perhaps he's hoping to eventually take them out on their exit. So back towards the rest of nongYing, though, we have G9 who have been able to just move past very safely alongside with the entire crew. Goddard, he's the first one to be extracted, whereas there's still significant numbers being carried by each respective members from the side of nongYing. You saw some casualties down this road, so this is where nongYing is feeling rather worried, perhaps, that maybe this won't be all too safe, so they will still keep their eyes very closely. And indeed, FaZe Clan is still in Missile Silo, so there's still a chance that we might see that battle taking place. But for Prime, they haven't really gotten too much, though. Are they really planning to stay on the outskirts for the whole time?
I think they're probably trying to find teams to just eliminate them on top of the extraction points. That's going to be the whole plan all the way. But unfortunately, they didn't bump or collide into another team. So, I mean, one team ejected out, one team be eliminated. What's left right now is not going to be enough for them. It feels like nobody will actually pass through Prime. So, well, the boys have to have some plan B. If not, they were probably not going to go out from this map with enough points by the end of this round.
Yeah, and you know what, too? It really feels like this initial game here in the Arctic seems a little bit more peaceful as compared to what we've seen in the past. I guess it's just pretty much a good warm-up for them to have a steady pacing heading into the upcoming matchup. So we shall see later on when it comes down to how they will manage in Zombie Uprising. Naeem from the side of Prime, still trying to at least seek out if there's going to be any opportunities for a catch. But in such a fast field with some players already being ejected as well as some areas of play being so scattered, it doesn't seem like there's going to be all too much to be gained here. But Sui Boy, he just walked right out in the open. And Zip just takes that one down for free. So that's going to be the first elimination, it seems, as Martin is going to be the one to secure it. But when it comes down to the rest of the points that's been gathered, I think that they're in a really good spot.
I think that was just slightly a battle of extraction points. That gives away the position too for the side of nongYing just now.
Ooh.
Speaking of time, we only have 4 minutes left. So it's a compulsory for these guys to find an extraction point. And they might actually, well, Prime is worth waiting for. I think it's going to be a showtime and action time for the side of Prime. Now, all the wait finally being fruitful, but can they actually fight against FaZe Clan firepower?
This is what we have been waiting for, and Tony is already being heard right now on the footsteps and immediately getting taken down. Oh my goodness me. How much is in the bag? We'll find out in a moment's time. Now it's only down to Sakura. Can Sakura pull this 1v2 off? And maybe it is going to be a smarter plan to look for an alternative extraction, but the nades are flying in. Stone Cold right down below. It's going to be hard for Sakura to actually spot them out, but Sakura so far has been able to take 2 players down and pretty much eager to still continue with the battle, throwing whatever's in his back at the moment. Mantap, he might be the one to eventually get some good angles off as they are trying to push through. But this massive stone is not really giving them a clear vision. And also, Sakura slowly peeling back. But are they really going to commit? It really feels like Sakura wants to take this fight.
Well, they've barely got enough extraction points for those teams here right now. Like, you know, they have to force a fight here because no time to find a new one for FaZe Clan, for Sakura especially. It's going to be a bit of a risk, but he has to take it either way. Mantap got chipped down just a tiny bit. It's going to be the battle against the wall here, but it's going to be 2v1. Numbers-wise, it's not great for Sakura, but he has to do what he needs to be done. He's the last member remaining for the FaZe Clan, and they are in negative the moment one of their members being finished off just now. So for Sakura, it's do nothing or just do something about it. Die for something or live without anything. Prime, on the other hand, their reunion will commence once more because 2 minutes on the clock here right now. All the teams of Prime need to be ejected out. If not, even their eliminations will not be counted for the points by the end of this map.
These guys are absolute pirates. They managed to win out that trade, causing FaZe Clan to be on that negative. So it's just really devastating for these members of FaZe Clan, but Prime, they basically stood by on their tactics to just wait out for these teams and will be able to just pull in more than 1 million points, good enough to settle for third at the very least. So this should be pretty much the conclusion of the event, as we will see Prime to be making it out close to 1 million. So not too shabby after all for them to kickstart this match of the weekend. So with that being said, there's only about a couple more players coming from nongYing as well as Boom to be ejecting out of that, and it should be concluded in moments time.
Yeah, for Prime, there's going to be one last player. I mean, we do know last time we saw Prime, before they even start ambushing into the extraction points, it was pretty much like 500,000 most when it comes to the total value. But look at how much they actually brought up the numbers the moment they managed to finish out one of the FaZe Clan players. And that's what we talked about before, like prior to this week, right? There's so many ways to play it. One of it, if you don't want to loot out and you just want to wait it out, it's a bit of a risk, it's a bit of a gamble, but it's going to be worthwhile and less time consuming than just go over for the looting. But we have all teams probably going to be ejected soon. It's down to only 1v1 between Prime and Boom players.
Oh boy. Let's see what's Ray cooking up this time around.
50 seconds.
He's got that grenade. Can he actually catch Ray in time? Either side, you only have to settle in.
40 seconds, they have to wrap things around. If not, none of the teams in the fighting right now will be counted. But Stone Cold, with 30 seconds left, he managed to get one more times on his side. It's going to be 5 seconds before he flies to the sky. But Boom, even if they're being eliminated, one of the players, but at least they're still going to count as scores, right? Because everybody seems to be, ejected out by the end of the day.
Yep, right now he got just about enough time to get the final stash from the final player eliminated. Now
he needs to get out.
Come on. You
no!
5 seconds. 5 seconds.
No!
Come on, bro.
No! Are you kidding me?
Oh my goodness! No, he's still not out. He's 5 seconds too late.
Does this count? Does this count? We have to wait for our marshals now because. So basically, Prime, despite they played it well till the very end, unfortunately, this don't really count because they didn't eject on time. Don't forget, you have to take 5 seconds to be ejected out. So unfortunately for Prime, they ended up with a 0 for this round. But nongYing, hey, what a turn of event. They don't go for gunfight. It seems like they can easily take away #1 spot.
11 million in the bank for nongYing. It really feels like they just absolutely stole everything inside of the radiation zone. Meanwhile, it's just so painful for me to watch the final few moments because Stone Cold, he wasted a lot of time. He was thinking of healing up. He didn't really heal up. He was thinking about getting the loot. He's thinking about getting extracted. And with his jumble up plan, he botched it by those couple of seconds. He's 5 seconds too late. Like, if you eliminated that final player, quickly loot up and just get the heck out of the map quickly. You know, like, that's all he has to do. And just like that, whatever they stole from FaZe Clan resulted in both FaZe Clan as well as Prime getting 0.
FaZe Clan not getting any 0 though, because by the end of the day, I mean, they had booted some of the players out before, but when it comes to Prime, on the other hand, due to the one player's action, it seems like a sabotage for the entire crew as well. That's going to be devastating for the rest of Prime players too, knowing the fact they can actually get some points, at least some good points at the start of the day here, but unfortunately ended up with another 0. We've seen this too many times. Time is super sensitive for this mode, Metro Royale, by the way, so keep your eye out for the clock and timer too.
That's right. The moment that they see that the clock strikes 12, they got to quickly get to that extraction point where there's just about enough time for them to sprint over and still eject out in due course, right? But I guess like he really miscalculated in those final few moments out there. Like if you're only having 30 seconds left, you gotta make sure like what exactly you need to do. If that's the final few stashes that is worthwhile, just quickly go for it and just turn back. And for a matter of fact, that crate wasn't even too far off, right? Like I think like you and I could agree that he has honestly enough time to loot and then get back in, but he stood there in the extraction zone for at least another 5 to 10 seconds. That absolutely costed him. That itself was the biggest blunder.
Yeah, every second counts, and the best time to actually extract out like the last minute of them all, you have to have at least 10 seconds on the clock. Now, we do know that there's 10 more minutes on top of the clock, but when it comes to esports mode of Metro Royale, whenever the clock struck at 10, everybody have to be already ejected out from the map. If not, none of any of the points are collected. Even those eliminations will not be counted as anything at all, so everything will go down in vain. So the side of Prime just now, we know if he actually ejected himself out before 10 seconds, the least amount of time he needs is another extra 5 seconds, right? Around the 6 seconds, like 10:06, he still can make it through in the very last minute. He's gonna be right on time. But he dilly-dallied a bit when it comes to, hey, I want this, but I see that color. He got, confused with the time as well. He probably did not keep track well with the timing, because you have to add in another additional 5 seconds before you can actually fly out. So that 5 seconds do count so much in that very last minute too.
Yeah, and sometimes, being too greedy about these situations may not actually pay off any form of dividend. So once again, we will have to see these teams improve on keeping watch with time. I think like that is going to be the most important portion of playing this Metro Royale esports mode, because usually you'll get that 30 minutes, but in esports mode it's only 20 minutes. So it's action packed, it's fast paced. At least for certain teams, they have gotten involved in some of all these battles. So some of these squads, they don't walk away empty-handed with those 300k per elimination point. So I still think it's a very decent start, but this is going to be a very big win for nongYing, because they needed all these points to get the bonus to qualify to the grand finals. And with that said, they are currently at number 1 with the 12th being gathered all together. Boom comes in second place with 3.5. Meanwhile, FaZe Clan with 600 due to the 2 eliminations that they've managed to get around the areas of the radius zone.
For MetroMini, well, they're going to settle with whatever they have, because every single time they're being eliminated by another team. So they're definitely satisfied. Despite it's not the best round yet. But hey, at least baby step, and slowly they'll start saving up for the next few rounds. But unfortunately for Team Mantap and Prime, especially Prime, they have so much going on. They're probably going to be one of the best team up there if they ejected out. But we definitely have to celebrate for our fortune's chosen one. That's going to be a nongYing Goddard. It's rare to see nongYing to actually get the chosen one board, because every single time they just got to go for those eliminations.
Yeah, got that this time, getting the limelight. I'm happy for this guy. We remember seeing him back in the early days of PMCO. He's been playing, and it's still great to see him being involved in the esports round, this time in Metro Royale, alongside with his best buddies, G9 and Co. Now, let's take a look at their rotation as well. Like, you saw from the get-go that nongYing, they were just absolutely focused on to getting into the direct center. And despite having FaZe Clan, Prime, as well as another team right down below, Boom Esports, they took that upper portion and just quickly gather whatever loot from the northern end and just went in towards the outskirts of Hamlet to try to go in for another big wraparound, gets a couple of catch, and then eventually eject off. So very efficient tactics, while we hope to see nongYing to be able to pull off another good highs heading into the upcoming battles.
Now, that's going to be the first time nongYing getting those extra bonus $50 in their pocket because of how they're winning over that first map of the day, which is going to be Arctic base, of course. But next, we're still going to have the rotation of Group A versus Group B in Misty Pot. Now, Misty Pot do look a lot like Zombie Uprising, but when it comes to the bosses and also the mobs, it's going to be an entirely different map. Now, in case you guys don't know, there's going to be some Fire, Roy, and Joy. That's going to be one of the big bosses down there. So they have to figure their weaknesses to take them down. And also, we don't have zombies in this one. There's going to be a lot of militants. It's going to be in there. But you know what? Well, I do want to listen to Contra Ed's voice. So last week we had Sir Cloud did it, and this time let's go Pirate Contra.
Are we going for the pirate again?
I mean, it's up to you. Whatever you feel like the mood of the day.
Okay, I'll start with standard one. PUBG Mobile's Airdrop Carnival is officially open. Call your friends to join a pirate bash. Explore the Ocean Odyssey new team area. Pirates through the island. Collect airdrop tokens and head to the Airdrop Carnival in-game event. Upgrade your airdrop crate to level 5 for a guaranteed set emote of your choice. Don't forget to jump in the game from August 16 to 18 to open your airdrop crate. Have a great day.
Sorry, Mr. Producer, Director with us here. It's not going to be a fun morning for you because it's a bit too early for us to actually make some voice acting here. But yeah, I'm going to start it off with a very warming up tone here. Galadriel accent also available for you guys watching at home. So don't forget to log into the PUBG Mobile to claim or just join in the event to unlock coupons and limited outfit awards, which is going to be from the 6th to 13th of August. Starting off, well, it's ongoing here today. And also, speaking of today, not just about the accident, it's going to be a happy Independence Day for Malaysia too. So Merdeka Day for all of you guys watching at home. It's going to be a holiday for you guys. So make sure you stay tuned and for the entire day because we have so many tournaments, including the Metro Royale. And later, it's going to be PMSL for the Battle Royale. And speaking of which, no off day for two of us, but we still, you know, we love Malaysia. Let's go.
We absolutely do love Malaysia. And of course, happy Independence Day and Selamat Hari Merdeka. So you guys will enjoy an extra day of weekend, which is going to extend all the way to Monday. That's good news for all of you guys. Well, you know, we're still hard at work giving you guys all the entertainment here in this Metro Royale mode. So from what we have been able to see, all these teams are really laser focused onto what the objectives is, just gaining those last couple of points for them to make it into the grand finals, and that's where the big bucks actually lie. So I really do hope that we do get to see certain teams to be able to pull off some crazy stints on the very last minute. We're only in Group A as well as Group B right now, and now moving into Misty Port, how challenging could it get for even teams like nongYing that seem to have taken a very, very different approach as compared to, you know, FaZe Clan, who was getting a little bit of everything. They wanted fights, they wanted those loots, and they didn't manage to get all of it going smoothly for them in that round.
Yeah, when it comes to nongYing, I agree. The approach into the game is quite different these days. I'm loving that. And that gives us a bit of drama later on against probably Fellas ID, which is going to be tomorrow, A versus C. So I want to... that's going to be one of... but nongYing is actually in Group B. So we're going to have to wait different weekends on. It probably is going to be day number 2. Yeah, day after tomorrow. That finally we get to see nongYing versus Fellas ID because nobody able to challenge FaZe ID so far because they are the one with the most solid foundation and fundamentals of this mode right now for the Metro Royale. And so far, nongYing just managed to adapt and start to play along this week when it comes to the final week. Took them quite a while. So things will probably change when it comes to the grand finals later. So we're probably going to have a sneak peek into the future of the grand finals based on tomorrow's performance when nongYing will meet up against FaZe ID.
That's right. I can't wait for that to happen. But of course, today we still have a lot of all these stack teams coming from other groups as well. Coming in from Group C, Group D, which will have their own battles later on into the later stages of the afternoon. So for now, of course, this final bout between Group A as well as Group B, we have seen those hard-hitting units like FaZe Clan, Boom, and despite nongYing having that capability, they are not willing to take any risk that is going to cost them heavy casualties. So this is definitely them wanting to move in for the grand final run and earn those big bucks and really converting the Metro cash to what they could spend in real life. So we'll see what will happen when they do clash with FaZe ID tomorrow. But for what it's worth right now, Misty Port is going to be pretty interesting on what it does have to offer, looking into how certain teams they actually do bump into each other rather early from time to time. But I believe that throughout the course of these 2 weeks, they have been able to make certain adjustments. So you can now see a safer approach coming in from the vast majority of Group A as well as Group B.
Yeah, I mean, Prime team, of course, not going for the safest route. We do know that they're trying to go for the ambush. Just unfortunately, things didn't work out for them. I do want to see if they will try to do the same strat here when it comes to the second map, which is going to be the Misty Port map. And speaking of Misty Port map, it's going to be a smaller map compared to Arctic Base, so it's going to be more fun to wait it out around the extraction points if they want to play it again. But it's all about the timer. Now, they have to make sure that they are aware regarding how much time they needed to eject out from the map just now, because they were just like, what, 3 seconds too late when that happens. So Prime team, I hope they will repeat what they do, but do make it a bit earlier for the ejection later on.
Yeah, and overall, when we take a look at certain different play styles as well, certain teams are still loading on the outskirts, playing rather safe, not really looking for those multi-millions. They're sometimes settling for that 1 million because they would expect certain teams to not make the cut at all. So maybe they could still squeeze by doing so, but I feel like they need to at least put themselves into certain tricky scenarios to still get at least 2 million. 2 million is going to be a really good number for them to be somewhere within a top 3, top 2 perhaps, but we shall see. Like overall, Prime, they can go for that same strat like you did say, mention from that last round. It's just that timekeeping is one such thing that they definitely have to improve on if they really want to go up ahead. But we are already getting ourselves into our next match to conclude this battle between Group A versus Group B. So Choo-Choo, this is going to be absolutely fun, and we will see who will be the next big victors with those big bucks of Metro Cash.
Now we're getting into Misty Port. Of course, it's going to be the radiation zone, and this is even though it looks very much like Zombie Uprising, there's going to be a lot of more high value loot compared to the normal Zombie Uprising. Don't forget, we do have the radiation zone, which is going to be the mine warehouse. There's only 2-way in and 2-way out. It depends if they have extraction point on top of mine warehouse. As per usual, we're going to expect a lot of teams try to go there early on. But when it comes to this map, like Zombie Uprising or even there's Misty Port, which is similar anyways, it's doable for them not to get into the radiation zone and still manage to score those high loot value from the outside. But due to this map is a bit smaller than the Arctic base, there's a high chance if you want to play on the outside, you will collide with another team.
Sure enough, speaking of collision course right now, Prime is looking for an ambush against the Mantap. Mantap trying to seek for redemption as they crashed out rather early, but they are already getting suppressed. Shots now being fired over inside Noel. Attack team duel from inside Prime will find it as Keyboy secures the illumination and eventually also takes another member down from Team Mantap. Not the best start for Team Mantap. Now they only have 2 members. We shall see if they can still manage to back in some form of loot. As Team Mantap, they have already had 2 members in the underground passage already working on to getting the vehicles to work. So we'll see if they're going to be able to at least make some good bucks out of this.
Speaking of good bucks, well, this is what I talked about before. It used to be Moms or Team Mantap. They're always being pinned down by the other teams from the outside. So Team Mantap, despite they only have 2 players, they're going to go straight for the radiation zone. That we do know if you want to go to the radiation zone, the only way to go in is going to be through the tunnels. And we do have some militants waiting around the corner too, so they have to be extra careful. The thing about Misty Port is slightly difficult than Zombie Uprising since we have militants, right? So the mobs can engage from a further distance. So if they're not being careful, they might get knocked down as well for the players.
Yeah, and the damage is not a joke. Sometimes, like, it can be overwhelming, especially if you have multiple militants to be around the vicinity. So they have to quickly clear it up. And sometimes you will also be confused whether if it's another squad that you're dealing with as well. So it can give them a little bit of a mini heart attack. Well, FaZe Clan, they were already going into the mining areas, which they will be able to just benefit with a lot of all these hit start loot. So let's see how much can they cash out. Already closing into $1 million right now. FaZe Clan is just making sure that they secure a whole lot. What's in this globe? We shall see. Well, for now, Jajami has been able to bring back only 50K for now, but I'm pretty sure that there's a whole lot more for them to gain here from the constructions. For the entire course for FaZe Clan, it seems to be clear. No team's going to be surrounding this area at the moment. So playing a lot safer is going to be the alternate game plan for FaZe Clan. Ever since, last round, they were ambushed on the exit. They want to ensure that it won't happen again.
Well, speaking of not happening again, Sakura, now extra careful. While the other team members will try to guard over Sakura while he's going to loot up. They will be watching out for any sort of movement coming up from the other teams or any militants around. Well, there are plenty of militants, of course, but we haven't seen the players seem to be running into any of the bosses. That's going to be the Fire, Roy, and Joy for now. But when it comes to looting wise, I think it's pretty okay for FaZe Clan. But for Boom, they are aiming for those eliminations first. I mean, we saw how eliminations do play some part when it comes to translating to value. Even if the team got eliminated entirely, at least they won't go empty-handed because the points will still be of value with these elimination points.
True enough, right now, lots of deathflates are being thrown out towards the side of MetroMini. Though they're playing in a very defensive maneuver now, Boom is going to slowly cut right through this sector of the compounds, not really having the best of time as they're slowly getting chunked out, as there's going to be responses coming in from Beaky. He does get the knock. Beautiful work, but there's still Amjago to hold the flank. We are also securing these knocks as 2 members are already down. Make it 3 for MetroMini. I believe there's only 1 player left, and that last player is still around these corners, now being spotted out. So this will be a total annihilation as Boom secures 1.2 mil in the form of elimination points.
Comes to Jago. This time it's not holding the most value. I think they changed their role based on the players. Probably Pyro going to take away the most value of all the players of Boom. Now, the moment they found themselves some extraction points, I assume Pyro will be ejected out in an instant. So they won't actually sacrifice him, or maybe not wanting to risk his positions too. But numbers-wise, Boom still not having enough. So we assume that they will try to take whatever left coming up from the side of Moms or MetroMini, which I don't think they actually scored too much either, because of how Boom managed to loot from their death box. It doesn't seem enough yet.
Yeah, it's just a couple of all these low-value loot as well as mid-tier loots for the moment, because they've been playing on the outskirts. They haven't really passaged their way into the mines overall. Meanwhile, nongYing, they have always looked for big-ticket items, and we are currently seeing them scoring about close to 2.5 million at the moment. they do expect certain teams to be moving into this area of play later on, which is why God is being sent over onto the top end just to try to scout all around and to continuously gather loot. He'll leave the rest of those roles for his teammates at the moment. So coast is clear. We expect nongYing to pull off another massive run so long as they are not being ambushed throughout the course of the battle. And of course, at least for Boom Esports, they secured themselves 1.2 million from that elimination point. So they are still slightly ahead of FaZe Clan, but FaZe Clan is still gathering plenty of numbers out there to try to match nongYing. So still more work to be done there by Boom Esports.
Well, FaZe Clan is still looting up from the surface area, not going into the radiation zone, knowing the fact it's going to be too much at risk if they actually do so, since I do have nongYing inside. There's so many ways to go for radiation zone, right? There's two ways to go into it. Either you go in late or you go in super early. And then it depends on your duration of stay. Whether you want to go in fast, like, okay, if you want to go early, you go in fast and then loot up whatever you can and get out from there. If not, you might be colliding with another team that might happen to be later.
Yeah, that's where it will be a little bit dicey. But at least for now, all these teams are just very loot-based at the moment. Other than the early battles that we've gotten so far, 2 members left for Sada Team Mantap. They have yet to recover from that deficit because the loot value coming in default, they're already losing some members out there. So they do remain slightly close to 0 at the moment. While Sakura is getting tagged up there, but he's climbing up, hoping to look for a boss that usually does spawn in school. So it's just a little bit of a wait for now as they're taking a good vantage point, making sure the coast is clear. But here we go, Team Prime. They have finally arrived into the radiation zone, and nongYing has been waiting for a whole long time for this to happen.
nongYing. The thing is, do they really wait or are they actually planning to go out? Because Prime right now just going to go for ambush all the time. Now, extraction point-wise, I don't know if there's any available around here corner. But it's going to be nongYing. We do know how well these guys, when it comes to Battle Royale, they are one of the legends out there. So they definitely can view without any problems. Despite we have some smokes and fog, the green fog will make it difficult for them to visualize the other side of a team. But they're doing it pretty okay for nongYing.
Yeah, they definitely have the best spot possible over the top end of the warehouse to be able to seek out some position of Prime members all together. Stone Cold is going to be the one that pushes out versus SOZip. SO soaking a little damage, but he will just pull up ahead and will eliminate this second member from the side of Prime that's pushing through. Now, 2 more members remaining, and Prime, they just arrived to the scene there. They haven't even gotten themselves into any form of loot, and the nades are perfect. And this is a clean 4-pointer for nongYing.
SOZip just tossed a golden nade, and not just that, this is also a good time for Prime loot to be looted up by nongYing. So basically, it's like Prime willingly giving away their own looting, and also when it comes to loot value, I think it's going to be more than enough. nongYing might actually hit the 10 million mark by end of this round if this keeps going on, and another team, if they want to challenge, they have to think twice, because first and foremost, I want to see if there's any extraction point on top of where nongYing's at. Second, if there's one, so we're going to assume another team might actually try to cross paths again, and that might be the case for nongYing to push the numbers up.
Yeah, we love seeing this form of nongYing where they weren't just playing super safe like they did back in game 1. This time, they were ever ready for all the battles that could potentially take place in the radiation zone, and they just absolutely gave no chance to Prime to even loot up. And it's back-to-back bad rounds for Prime because they did not manage to extract in time, and now also suffering a deficit with only 2 elimination points, so they can only afford 600k to cash out in this span of round itself. Meanwhile, for FaZe Clan, though, they're the only other team here that can match up to nongYing at the moment. Of course, not discounting Boom Esports, as they are still having at least 9 minutes to try to make something work. Perhaps Boom might want to consider going for a fight to close off and steal some of all these loots away from either FaZe Clan or nongYing So let's see what exactly the game plan is for the Indonesian side.
FaZe Clan, nongYing. I do want to see if they happen to be clashing, because that's what happened to Boom last week when they actually snatch away some teams that kind of cost them a lot when it comes to loot value wise. They managed to bump the numbers up within like 5 million by obliterating the entire crew or leaving only one player left. So if that's the case again, and these teams happen to be bumping into each other quite early, including Boom and even Team Mantap. Team Mantap don't actually have enough yet. They are in negatives, but hey, at least they scored something by the end of the day, as long as they eject themselves outright.
Yeah, true enough. Where, you know, they've already managed to spot out some eliminations on the feed, so they will still think that, hey, if we eject now, maybe there's still potential for them to be hopeful for a top 4 finish. So we'll have to see still, because Team Mantap, they ejected out, and the last I saw, one of the members were carrying less than 100k. So I guess it's just going to put them into a certain position with a little bit of points. But FaZe Clan are already sending one member out at the very least to guarantee some numbers to be put up into the scoreboard later on. Ooh, here we go. nongYing setting up against Amjago, who's sending up this card right on the open field.
They don't know about G9. He's hiding himself so well, and this might be a trap set up by nongYing, knowing the fact that some teams will be coming up from the back. G9 knows exactly what's going on. It's down to whether he wants to open fire. He's waiting for the rest of the team to reunite as well. So that's going to be valuable information given by G9. So the ones that are actually inside knows where this is going and where this is coming.
Oh boy, they're in for a treat right now. Martin's on the other end. So it's really down to Martin. He's also hiding into this corner. So probably we might actually see this flank come into fruition for the rest of nongYing, but Ray's being absolutely careful as well. The thing about Boom is they're always ready to take on these battles. So we'll still see perhaps there will be good exchanges. But Boom.
He's been prepped already by nongYing. Look at that. They know that. They exactly know that. But for Boom, they kind of curious if nongYing kind of prepared for them. But G9, he can make a surprise attack from the back. But I have to wait and see, will G9 do it? Or will Boom? They heard those pins taken out from the grenade just now. That's why both teams are pretty much have their guards up. They are on stage, but the surprise attack from G9 will change everything for nongYing.
Yeah, they're also receiving all these chip damage, and it's good to see all these Titans at work. Now, nongYing also butting in. This is where they all get turned into dust. Well, the first knock goes through. Boom Esports could still find a way to recuperate, but take a look at nongYing. He's also taking a look at G9. It's flags after flags after flags. ESO-Zip goes down, though. Oh, it's a collateral damage upon Boom Esports. Things are not looking good for the Indonesian side with only one member remaining. nongYing, they will have members surviving to tell the tale, but they will have to deal with FaZe Clan.
Oh, man. This is from bad to worse. They thought they already cleared the rest of Boom just now. They have no clue they're being played later. Just how they played Boom just now is back to the side of nongYing that get their karma hits back. But here comes the rest of FaZe Clan already inside as well. And one of them ejected out, so they will have one member last compared to the side of nongYing. But Godard, SOZ, and Martin seems to be a bit busy, managed to clip down on Sakura. But we're waiting inside of a turmoil. But unfortunately, they lost SOZ. He cost quite dearly for the team since the numbers instantly went down.
Yeah, it's going to be hurting some of all these chances for them to really be at the number 1 spot. So it's really down to whether if nongYing can win these battles. And FaZe Clan, they're holding up to the upper portion of the warehouse, having some good bird's eye vision over onto this corner. And here comes Martin, managing to eventually deny any more advancements coming from nongYing that has been so sneaky, just like G9. But we go back into the mix of the battle. nongYing still holding the upper hand. And as a matter of fact, they now score 8 elimination points.
And plus, they got themselves some good loot coming out from James just now. So I'm waiting for the numbers to go up when it comes to translating to points later on. But FaZe Clan, Sakura, trying to make do. But unfortunately, those Molly will put him on hold. He cannot chase the minecart. It seems to be too fast for him right now. It's gonna be a 1-2 left and right for nongYing. Just gonna leave the tunnel for the time being. At 3 minutes on the clock. Speaking of which, only 2 teams remaining in here since Team Mantap already ejected themselves way early on. So nongYing, the bigger question, can they make it out safe without anybody being taken down in the very last minute?
Oh, they're going for a loot exchange. They are planning to leave some members behind to deny any exits coming from the side of FaZe Clan. Smart move, but they also need to look for an extraction point at the very same time. So I'm not too sure if they can both make it out alive. But I love this master plan from nongYing. Like, it's so perfectly coordinated. Like, that setup with G9 holding down, expecting visitors. But, you know, FaZe Clan, they got the extraction point here, so they don't have to worry about that. So nongYing could just quickly make their move out of this map.
That's kind of true. But for the side of nongYing, they might want to gatekeep because they have no clue how many players left in the map. That's going to be the mystery for nongYing to solve here. If they overstay themselves too long and couldn't find any targets by the end of the day just to scout out for FaZe Clan, and they couldn't find an extraction point, now everything they fought for a side of nongYing will go down into 0. So it's super crucial for them to be keeping track with the time countdown right now, which is going to be only over 2 minutes left. So best case scenario, all of them should eject out right now, but I think they still try to push the numbers here.
Yeah, this is the concerning part where G9, he's trying to perhaps look for an extraction as well inside of the area which FaZe Clan has already utilized. There's only that one ejection spot, and I do believe that nongYing, the rest of them has been able to at least get that full clearance, so they should be out. It's only down to G9 at the moment, where we don't have any other players other than himself to be close to an extraction point. So G9, all he has to do is just look for that green marker and the game will be concluded. Okay, G9, he still have this extraction, but it seems like he's not deciding to move out just yet.
Yeah, he's trying to just get some last-minute loot by the nearby the extraction point to see those death boxes laying around if they hold any sort of high value. But unfortunately, FaZe Clan players already looted this out. And I'm worried for them in case the extraction point won't be clear for him afterwards. So I have to make sure the extraction point will be clearly secured for him to eject out. When it comes to the timer, he has to make sure that he will got the extraction point around 30 seconds because he needs to, get the Fox line, just try to fly over this side of Flying Fox and just maybe extract now because you don't want to, overstay yourself here.
Yeah, very, very clean moves. And this is going to be the end of the match. Great work coming in from nongYing to secure the #1 spot again, this time with more than 4.8 million because they have also added 8 eliminations on top. But Boom Esports, they were getting themselves in the take of the battle in the early game. I'm not too sure that's going to be sufficient for them to catch up against FaZe Clan, but this game is a lot more eventful compared to round 1.
Yeah, when it comes to this map, of course, we can assume a lot of players will try to go for the Mines Warehouse, where that's going to be a lot of heated up battle based on so many places to gatekeep, like how we saw G9 play that just now. It was pretty smart coming from nongYing. I mean, to put one watch person on the outside, just in case somebody tried to gatekeep them, it was something else entirely and pretty smart as well. FaZe Clan's got himself a total value of almost close to 5 million, just a tiny bit more. If they got another 7,000, that's going to be a beautiful 5 million in the bag. But hey, you cannot complain with what you get. At least you get something out of this map.
That's right. It was really a close call where we saw those battles taking place. Boom Esports, so unfortunate that they eventually got eliminated in some of all these areas where they were just being set up perfectly from the side of nongYing. Honestly, didn't expect that to go also clean. And I love that you pointed out, like, once G9 relayed that information, everyone's just holding on to grenades. They're just waiting, okay, is this the right moment to throw? And eventually they managed to, just clear the entire sector. Prime was the first one to move in. They didn't stand a chance against nongYing. So it was beautifully done, and I can't ask for more. But we're going to get a lot more games as the upcoming groups will once again play some of these matches, as we will see Group A versus Group C later on.
Yeah, we're gonna reintroduce HLV or Hasta La Vista as a long nomenclature of it, and we're gonna have Fellas ID back, and as well as Arkong, which is known for AKG. Now, last time we saw Fellas ID 2 weeks prior, they being back-to-back the #1. So can they finally give a bit of a challenge for the teams like FaZe Clan, even Boom who played pretty well himself?
Yeah, this is where, like we've seen some crazy numbers coming in from Fellas ID. This is what is to be expected, but is there going to be heavy contenders coming into this portion of A versus C, where Group A, they've at least gotten a little bit more warmed up playing in this group itself, so they should be ever ready to just try to plot something just like how nongYing has managed to do so. So in the moment's time, we'll have to figure it out as we're waiting for our dear producers to tabulate all these massive numbers. Honestly, I'll be scared if I'm going to be the data guy. Like, if I were to key in wrongly, like some of these teams will be giving them a little bit of a scolding. So I'm not good with numbers. Thankfully that we're here on the mic instead. So we will definitely want to check out how much points exactly do some of these teams actually get. So nongYing, 2 back-to-back massive stashes. I would still certainly say that they're the current #1 team.
Well, now, we haven't seen Fellas ID yet when it comes to the final week, especially with these 2 maps, which they know they can score way more than the rest of the teams out there. Because so far, I've seen not the best numbers, despite we don't have Fellas ID before. For the next group, it's going to be super interesting. We get to see the full potential of a team. How much can they maximize their looting value by end of each map? Because when it comes to these 2 maps, it's way more than Zombie Uprising, because Zombie Uprising is pretty normal around the average of 5 to 8 million when it comes per map, the most that you can get by a team. But when it comes to Arctic Base, the most we had was close to 18 million, which was 17,700,000, something like that. So I'm looking for if there's any new record holder for 20 million in Arctic Base. And plus, when it comes to Misty Port as well, that's going to be a lot of high value. Like we saw earlier on, it's around 11 to 15 million worth of value. So when it comes to Statman, yes, they have to be scared and worried when it comes to the final week here, because the numbers are going to keep on going crazy.
That's right, and I just can't wait to actually see what really will be the conclusion for our Saturday run. But here we are with the results. That we start off with the match ranking, where nongYing have been able to add altogether 7.2 million. That's due to the fact that they have secured 2.4 from just eliminations alone. But FaZe Clan, they've also put up some really strong numbers there with 5.5.
Well, at least the Mantap do ended up with some points down there. Well, the sad case of MetroMini, I mean, MetroMini, they always played like the fundamentals, like based on textbook Metro Royale. They're going to go for looting, they try to play it safe, they try to play as peaceful as possible. But we do know Firepower do play a big part here in case they're being charged in, or they have to defend one of their looters down there. It's going to be one person that don't have the Firepower, and that one particular person is super important to be alive till the end, which they failed to guard him over. But it's going to be the same name back when it comes to FaZe Clan Chosen One, Suey Boy, with almost in that 3 million player earning value.
Yep, and he's always the guy that makes bang for the team. So glad to actually see him safely looting up throughout the course of the battle, and FaZe Clan have been able to rely on him to really put up with the vast majority of these numbers out there. And overall, FaZe Clan, they have been playing very efficiently for the past 2 rounds as they hold the second position in the overalls throughout these 2 maps that has been played out. Now, let's take a look at how nongYing does it. Swift moves into the mine warehouse, whereas FaZe Clan, they made sure that they make a couple of pit stops from construction into Garnet Maison, and then to school, and eventually to try to close things out into mine warehouse as well, I do assume. But when you take a look again, boom, they move in a little rather late with that camp setup coming from G9. They eventually faltered, but at the very least, they bring back some elimination points. So it's still 1.2 million for the side of Boom Esports. As we will gather all the points, nongYing will be undisputed with 19 million at the top.
Yeah, I do want to see can the numbers keep going up by a different group later today by FaZe and AKG, even if we forget about them. But nongYing, that's going to be the bar and the benchmark starting off our final weekday number 1 and finish off the first round between Group A and B. We're going to come to Arctic Base and Misty Port rounds. But when it comes to the next one, well, any challenges? Definitely there will be some challenges out there, including for our Group A and C later. And it seems like the tie is taking the lead when it comes to the final week in day number 1. Before, it's always going to be like what Indonesian region, which is going to be FLSID taking the lead. Now this time they have a contender.
Yes, they do, and I just hoping to see fellas really hitting the high marks to really keep things very competitive against nongYing that has done so well in the past 2 rounds. But of course, we'll see in a couple of moments on whether if they will have a smooth run, because knowing for the fact that we still have certain hard hitters coming into Group A, it's still going to be a little bit of a tough challenge, especially when we take a look into how things are going to fare. So Arkong is one such team as well from the side of Group C that will be able to really do a whole lot. So this is what I would expect coming from some of these members of Arkong, and with FaZe Clan still having games to play, they should be able to really bump their numbers up to eventually overtake nongYing. So with that, we'll take a short break, choo-choo, and we'll come back with more Metro Royale action here in the PUBG Mobile Super League Southeast Asia. As we promised, it's going to be a very short break, and we are now back for even more Metro Royale action. Once again, it's Chuchu as well as Contra here for your entire course of the afternoon. And of course, for Malaysians, happy Independence Day. I hope you guys are celebrating out there. I know some of my friends went on to the parades, seeing those abang bombers flexing their muscles. And, you know, it's just a whole lot of fun that we do have outdoors. And of course, if you guys are staying indoors, welcome on board. We got a whole lot more action to offer.
Yeah, I personally want to see a Bomba, but zombie seems to be more fascinating at this point. But you know what? We do have some ads coming up for you guys watching Is Your Tournament too. Now, speaking of which, we have the first one.
It's gonna be the PUBG Mobile Airdrop. Carnival is officially open, yeah? And call your friends to join for the Pirate Bash. Arr. So don't forget to jump into the game from August 16 to 18 to open your airdrop crate. And during the airdrop carnival, get a daily rating protection for 2 matches. Hey, collect airdrop tokens and head to the airdrop carnival in-game event. Upgrade your airdrop crate to level 5 for a guaranteed set or emote of your choice. And have a great day. Arr.
Wow, that's one of those perfect takes that you've done, Chuchu. I want to send you some lozenges for that because
you have to make it sexy, this one. Come on, you can do this.
Gloria exit and advance upgradable.
Not too soft, man. Nobody can hear you.
I thought I want to go for the ASMR approach. Okay, let me bump it up a notch if that's the case. Okay, another try. It's a Gloria Exit, an advanced upgradable MG3 that's available in stores. Your first spin is at 10 UC, and you can join the event and unlock coupons and limited outfit awards from the 8th, or should I say the end of September is going to be the final chance for you to get your hands on the Exit.
I love our director just switch over just to see Contra's face when he's actually not finished reading out the ads. But you know what? He purposely put it the ads for the airdrop carnival for a long time for me. Thanks for that. Really, director. Thank you so much. But yeah, I mean, that's not creepy at all. That's the sexiest coupon word I ever heard in my entire life. We were heading over back to Arctic Base for another group rotation here.
That's right, as we have gotten ourselves ready for new groups to take charge. And this is going to be a whole lot of fun that we're going to get, especially now with the involvement of Arkong and also one of the teams that has been so stellar in gathering points. It's Fellas ID back on the block. So we'll see what could they actually cook up this time around alongside with HLV, who starts off very close to MetroMini. They have to be careful. MetroMini hasn't really gotten the most points so far. So hopefully they'll be able to make the cut better this time.
Yep, when it comes to points, well, they can try to get it by doing some elimination of the players. HLV, one of the teams that love those early brawls. And here we go. They spotted out a couple of plays of Moms. In problem. They're just going to go and hold their trigger discipline here, knowing the fact they need to gather some information first regarding where are the position of the players, so they know everybody's in the 10, and let's have it a go. Alex managed to knock down on one. How about the response of the other players of HLV? Will they follow him to go in and go for the rush? Alex seems like he's alone down there.
Yeah, there's going to be GDs that will be joining him from the far back. This is going to be one of the entry points into the tunnels, which is what they're hoping to contest for at the moment. But if they can get all these elimination points, HLV is going to be absolutely happy about it. This grenade is going to do some damage. And it does actually knock one member down. Beautiful work coming from Alex once again as the flush comes into effect. He's going to cut these corners. It really feels like MetroMini, they're not exactly all too prepared for this fight, but they're just running around. Vicky now goes for a jump shot. Won't be dropped there once again by Alex.
Quite a heavy casualty for MetroMini because they're playing it peaceful. They definitely are not happy about this. Why people keep picking on us when we don't try to do anything so offensive towards the side? But for Cheese Love, can he try to do some damage control to the side of Moms? Unfortunately, we ended up with a 0 again this time, and that's going to be hurting them when it comes to the overall rankings later on.
Yeah, it's just absolutely devastating in these early games. They don't seem to have any formal rest at all, and it hasn't been really good rounds, even coming in from that Group A versus Group B battle that they had earlier today. And it only gets tougher because this final week, everybody wants those big portion of the pie. HLV, they are definitely one of the teams that are up in the running to be able to make it to the grand finals, which is why we're seeing all these offensive maneuvers to happen, and they absolutely are comfortable by doing so.
Back on the side of Prime Team, we do know they had quite a tough start here today. I mean, they have nobody to blame except for themselves, of course, when they almost got the lead early on.
True.
There's going to be redemption time for them, so they have to keep track with the timer. Now, we do know there's going to be 16 more minutes to go, so it's plenty of time for them to try to find a target. And they heard those gunfires coming up from AKG, so right now they're probably trying to aim for AKG and gatekeeping them from getting out where they at right now.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough ordeal for Arkong. But at the very least, they're already indoors with a little bit more of the coverage for them to work with. Prime still trying to navigate their way into cutting across, while Hasta Vista inside of the tunnel, having a go at the mining cart, will be able to at least reach safely for now. And the moment that they actually move deeper into this sector, Missile Silo is going to be having some occupants already, so they should be getting themselves prepared for certain takedowns. Speaking of which, of course, stellar start with those 4 points being gained from MetroMini members. Arkong taking center stage, so FaZe Clan, they're also making their cut across. This is where we'll get at least about 3 teams to try to duke it all out, as teams are slowly leading up. FaZe Clan so far starts off with close to 4 million already, so there should be a target on that back later on.
And that's nearby extraction point, if I'm not mistaken. That's why there's a lot of teams trying to take around Missile Silo. We do know Missile Silo do have very high value loot up here, so no, it's no surprise for the teams to try to just make their all way here. Talking about HLV seems to be under the tunnel as well, still going on the way here. So I don't know if FaZe Clan will put one of their players around the tunnel area just to see if any newcomers coming into this compound. But AKD seems to be having the same idea as well. So we might actually have all 6 teams, or maybe 5 of them, since MetroMini already being eliminated, taken out of the equation. So we might actually have all 5 teams right on top of Missile Silo.
Oh, this is getting even more interesting if that's going to be everybody having all hands on deck. Now, the problem with so many teams being in Missile Silo is that there's going to be certain teams that may not actually get that many loots because there's only so many compounds as well as boss spawns that's available within the duration. But there's plenty of time for them to settle the scores at the very least. Fellas ID inside of the tunnel right now. I do hope that they would be at least traversing safe and sound. They start off with 1 mil, so they're slightly behind as compared to teams like FaZe Clan that have had that very early passage into Missile Silo already. Drew's just trying to open up that crate to see how much more can they actually add to the table. Now, 1 million, not too shabby after all, but hasta la vista. They're absolutely being proactive, just scouring around, checking every single compound. And the further that they become more and more curious to be lurking around the middle is where they might lock horns with the rest of FaZe Clan. So let's see how much further will they go. They already saw some crates to be opened up. So I'm pretty sure that they will have their own signs of concern. Now, Fellas is actually the one closer to the members of FaZe Clan. Let's see how ready they are to actually go in for the engagement. Now, steps after steps, it seems like Zhao Jane is going to be the closest member out there. Alex, is he aware of this?
Well, FLS, they're known for their defensive and for offensive firepower too, so I'm not surprised if they try to fight back. But last time we saw, it's going to be Aria with the most amount of loot on top of FLS. They're super crucial to make sure that Aria will stay alive till the very end. Land might land a couple of shots from the side tree as well. But it's going to be some tough fight against FaZe Clan around the wall. Tree jump shot coming in. There's going to be a battle of the corner to these two players. But Sakura get it even more since he got more HP by the end of the day. But for Sakura, there's going to be some reset of their HP. But on the other side, don't forget Hostile Visa or HLV also seems to be quite near close by against this two team. They might be the cleaning crew by the end of this map.
Yeah, it's just so tough for Fellas ID because they're the one sandwich in between. They were basically taking way more than they could chew, despite them actually getting that first spot out of round to Alex. Now, Kim Tony also soaking a couple of taps coming in from the back. That is coming from members of HLV. Fellas now blindsided with the smokes as he's trying to also lob some grenades to try to push away members of FaZe Clan. But they're undeterred. They will still look for a solid push. Big nades now drop towards the side of Arya. Gao Jane trying to pry this one open and make it easier for his teammates to go in for the full flush.
I've never seen FLS or Fellas ID taken out quite early, but with this warming crowd coming over to this side of Missile Silo, they're probably the first time we're going to see the entire crew of FLS will be taken out without any points if in this case, because they didn't score any elimination yet. And for the side of Zhao Jim, he's taking the rush in with the shotgun at that and taking out straight in the faces as well the rifles. Kim Tony will follow pursuit behind, and this is the first time throughout my entirety of Metro Royale we're looking at FLS ended up with a 0 this round.
That was super surprising because they just got caught in this crosshairs of both HLB as well as FaZe Clan. So it's just absolutely disastrous for them, but they still have plenty of those bonus points to hold on to. But this is a poor start for the squad of Fellas ID. They will need to be more careful heading into the upcoming maps. But we continue on with even Arkong now joining into the battle against Fix Bay. Hostile Vista holding true. HLV will try to eventually get much closer, as we do know that they're very well adept in close quarter combat. Well, this push comes into effect. It seems like he was just a couple of bullets far off with Ate trying to stand tall against BD. He does get the trade done, so it's going to be a 1-for-1 for now.
Ate, known for his veteran plays of Battle Royale, definitely have better experience when it comes to CQC in that case, but Sakura will not give it away. Seems like FaZe Clan is winning back the round here, despite he didn't actually lose entirely, but last round wasn't the greatest, and prior to that, the rotation against the different group just now wasn't their best round as well. So it's redemption time on the side of FaZe Clan with 6 eliminations right now and quite hefty amount of value of loot when it comes to the players too. 6 millions in their bag. And there's no stopping them right now. They even scored another one into the bag, 7 eliminations. And I don't know if there's any extraction points down here, but at least the time is still plenty for them with 9 minutes more on the clock. And only one more team to deal with. That's going to be Prime. And we do know when it comes to firepower, Prime will have some difficulties to fight against FaZe Clan.
But also, do remember that FaZe Clan was the one that was being ambushed as well towards the very end, where they got absolutely eliminated. So potentially there might still be a chance where Prime could set up the same ambush towards the side of FaZe Clan members. But I believe that FaZe Clan have already learned their lessons just about enough. Arkong's BJ is the only one inside that is not a FaZe Clan member in this radiation area. So this is potentially the best round possible for the side of FaZe Clan that have seen them outrightiously winning those trades, now getting all these massive points back into the team. And lo and behold, Prime, they're on their camping spot. This is definitely going to be one of the extraction zones later on, which is why they're thinking about staying put. But I don't think there's many loots for them to actually gather around that vicinity. So it's really about this final member of Arkong. If he can get whatever boxes of the eliminated players, I guess he'll find a couple thousands at the very least, or if he's lucky enough, maybe 1 million is in the bag.
But for Arkong, at least he scored himself 2 eliminations here, so they will not go empty-handed despite they only have 1 player left. So, I mean, like, when it comes to numbers-wise, still going to translate into scores later today. But on side of FaZe Clan, I think they're going to be A-okay. Prime definitely kind of had it enough since they're playing on top of the surface area and not even taking a peek around Mr. Silo's place right now, knowing the fact they did not score too much here today. So it's quite a big risk for Prime if they want to engage against FaZe Clan. But I want to see how much FaZe Clan have the total earnings by end of this round, since they already hit around 7 million. So we assume 10 million is already in the bag the moment they can eject themselves out safely. Now, that's going to be the keyword, safely. Will there be any surprise attack coming out from even BJ at this point?
Yeah, it's also interesting to actually see that they were so confident to just go for those exchange of items as they try to distribute it all across. And it's like everybody gathers around Sui Boy. It's like, okay, Mafia boss, this is the spoils of the trade that we do have for today. I hope you're happy enough with that 6 mil. So there's even some of all these access where each respective members of FaZe Clan is carrying at the bare minimum 200 over K. So that is absolutely astounding. But BJ, he's just trying his best to see if he can still basically take any form of scraps that he could find. But the nades are being tossed in. The manager spot out BJ. This is not looking good. 1 versus 4. But if BJ gets a clutch, or if he eliminates Sakura, there's at least 100K in the back. Now, up close and personal, just by the corner wall. This is just a couple of jump shots, and he's already battered, bruised, with nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. This is going to be straightforward. Arkong out of the game.
Yep, the only threat for FaZe Clan right now being eliminated. Definitely give them some peaceful heart and mind to keep looting up. It seems timers-wise, it's definitely on their side too. And they got absolute 2 teams in their hands with 8 eliminations. That translate to almost 2.4 million, or exactly 2.4 million when it comes to total earning value. And not just that, they got so many high-grade loot when it comes to the death boxes of players laying around. So probably they're going to finish off this run by 15 million of the day, but we do know they can get more in terms of the loot value, because this is the map that we almost hit the 18 million mark of a loot earning value by end of the round. So since the time is on their side, barely got any contestants here coming out inside of Mr. Silo, because Prime definitely going to go up and just going to play around the surface. I hope if they actually go into the tunnel area, that might be interesting. But right now, I feel like they want to play it safe as well for the side of Prime, since there's only 2 teams left, right? So FaZe, can they score 20 million in this one? They can actually, if they, well, lucky enough to find themselves those loot.
Yeah, true enough. And I think they're just about happy to also book out with 12 mil if they really wanted to. But of course, it is potentially at least 15 mil if they're eager enough to use this couple of minutes. But there's only 4 more minutes on the clock, ladies and gentlemen. While Prime, they're still at the same spot of where they last picked off FaZe Clan. But the thing about this is that it's only FaZe Clan and Prime available, and there's so many extraction points that they could potentially get. It seems like Prime, they're split into 2 parts to see which one would be better for them to eventually catch out FaZe Clan. It's going to take some time. Oh, we do have a helicopter coming over. Well, it's not going to take anybody off of the map for now, but they're there when you need them to extract. So we'll see. We have gotten about 13 mil at the very least for FaZe Clan. I guess the aim here is 15 before they go out.
The helicopter just now was meant for FaZe Clan player that ejecting out. So I did have a talk with Cloud last week regarding, just to make it a bit more interesting by the end of each round. Hopefully, we're going to have this in the future for Metro Royale, right? I mean, if PUBG Mobile listening, thank you. It's going to be, when you want to eject out, there's going to be some sirens. So players have to hold another 30 seconds before the helicopter actually arrives to pick them up. And there's going to be sudden, due to the siren itself, like example, right? For my idea. Now, we have flare gun in the game, right? Now, imagine if you have to activate the extraction point, you have to use the flare gun. There's only 1 flare gun for each of the teams, so they cannot afford to lose that flare gun. And they can actually try to steal it away from another team if their flare gun is missing by taking the fights against the other team. The only way for them to get out, they must have the flare gun to be activating those circles of extraction point when they're there. And once the circle activated for extraction, that's going to be 30 seconds for them to fight against a horde of zombies, and also alerting all the other players across the map that there's going to be some extraction there if any teams want to contest them.
Yeah,
And,
I absolutely love that.
There's going to be
idea.
some trade-off, which is going to be if they manage to defend themselves against some bosses of zombies, that's going to be a very high value, rare kind of type high value loot they can get from if they manage to survive that one. You know, it just makes things a bit more spicy by the end of the day.
Oh yeah, I love how well thought out this is coming from you, Chuchu. I do agree. It puts in both sense of realism, where usually you've seen so many of all these movies where you're stuck in an island. You need that flare to be extracted out of that island, right? Like implement the same thing, and also make it a little bit more challenging for some of the players out there to get out of the match than to just, sometimes come in with this scenario where, they just don't have any competitors out there as they just stand all over the extraction zone. So another layer of complexity could actually improve the game. But at the meantime, I do think that it's a very well balanced and well thought out of how this current Metro Royale mode is looking like. But
I mean,
upcoming,
we want to see the flare gun in action, right? There's a flare gun, but people don't really get to use it. Just maybe it's meant for this mode, And speaking of this mode, Prime will eject themselves. It's a no-brainer. FaZe Clan definitely dominate over this, and I am loving the fact they put up so much challenge that caused the first biggest loss of FLS in this round. I mean, FLS did get ambushed before, but they had one player survive that translate into points by the end of the day, but this time they had a 0 to survive.
Yeah, it is rather tough in that sort of sense. Well, overall, I really do think that at least for Prime, this is still a massive improvement for themselves, where they managed to at least pull in about close to 2 million, as FaZe Clan is already out, thankfully, with that extraction point being into the rec center. So this will be the conclusion, where we see 4 teams eliminated. It's only Prime as well as FaZe to play it out. So
just get out, Stone Cold.
This is going to be the end. Stone Cold, I mean, don't commit the same mistake. You've done it once. Don't waste any more time, my friend.
Yeah,
I love his line, though.
He just want to make it fun till the very last one. Don't forget, they have to add extra 5 seconds to get out. And he wants to get out in a fashion and with style, okay? On top of that line. Great for Prime. Congratulations for finally made it out alive. But hey, we're still going to give a biggest congratulations on the side of FaZe Clan. What a round they have defending against 2 teams.
Yep, that was the perfect round that FaZe Clan could ever ask for. Winning those battles and also basically dominating the entire missile silo, putting in 14 million back on track. And of course, there's still a lot of all these elimination points to be accounted for as well. So I believe that they should be close to 18 mil again, or maybe slightly less. So I'm bad with numbers. I'll leave it to our producers to make that accounted for.
I mean, if they actually get to score more than 18 million, there's going to be a new record holder all around on Arctic base for the group stage throughout the entirety of the league of Metro Royale so far. So I want to see if FaZe Clan can actually break the numbers, because I think it was Fella's idea, or correct me if I'm wrong here, was it Fella's idea of Boom actually scored that's almost 18 million? It wasn't exactly 18 million, it was close enough, 17 million over. But if they actually score more than that, that's going to be all-time new record across the entirety of tournament here right now, and that's going to be FaZe Clan, which means FaZe Clan, they can have a great, they'll be one of the greatest rival for Fella's ID during the grand finals, including nongYing too.
Yeah, and I just love that we are getting this type of form for the side of FaZe Clan, because the past couple of weeks, sometimes mishaps do happen, where we've even seen earlier today, they got taken down despite carrying some really good value to at least secure top 2. Against nongYing, though, they are still slightly behind, but with these games that has been put in, especially this round itself, they should be able to make up for lost cause overall. So good stuff for them. Meanwhile, with the first time Fella's ID bowing out because of what really happened. We saw 5 teams inside of Missile Silo, and unfortunately they were one of the earliest few to be taken down. They didn't really score elimination points as well, from what I do know for that fact. So they need to recover heading into the upcoming round. So hopefully that will do them justice, because we've seen Fellas ID, if they have a smooth round, it's going to be looking like what you mentioned. 17 mil is entirely possible for this team.
Yeah, they're one of the teams that's pretty, especially Arya coming up from FLS ID. He's the leader for the team. That's his main role. He didn't engage too much when it comes to firepower or engagement against the fight of other teams. But we finally get our numbers right. Will it be reaching up to 20 million or not? That's going to be the number that I'm looking for. Close enough. I think this is going to be still one of the highest all-time up there, 17 million. But, you know, last time we had slightly more. But it's okay. I guess that's going to be the cap here when it comes to Arctic Base. And Prime finally get a good run when the other team's being eliminated, of course.
Yeah, 19 mil. I'm pretty sure that they're happy enough with that. And they didn't really have to really get themselves into certain trouble. And, you know, with a stylish finish with Lion right up into the helicopter, this is just good news for the Malaysian squads, actually celebrating Merdeka Day today alongside with HLV with some staggering 6 elimination points, which also was to my surprise that they walked out with 1.8 million. Meanwhile, Arkong managed to get 2 pickoffs, while the rest of them didn't manage to get all too much. Sui Boy has always been the bookkeeper to be able to bring in all these massive numbers back to the team. So no surprise that he is the Fortune's chosen one.
Now, if the other teams want to take out FaZe Clan numbers, this is going to be the player they should be aiming for, because he might actually score the most when it comes to looting value-wise. If they can actually catch Sui Boy of FaZe Clan, that's definitely going to be around, what, 3 million worth of value of loot in that death boxes laying around. So when it comes to the MVP and the chosen one players, they have to be extra careful, because they might actually do have a bullseye behind their back.
That's right. And now let's take a look once again through how FaZe Clan has been able to really keep up to the pace. It really seems like they hold into some steady compounds where teams were just trying to make certain entries into the area of Missile Silo. Fellas ID was the one to get clipped, followed by all the other teams with Hustle is the next, and the final member of Arkong. And after that, the map just went pretty silent, other than having Prime on the outskirts as well as FaZe Clan. So that was just the whole conclusion of what really went down in this matchup in Arctic Base.
Well, numbers don't lie when it comes to Arctic Base. Thanks to that, FaZe Clan push all the way, taking over nongYing at second spot, now being pushed down. Unfortunately, this is the first time looking at no Fellas idea after their first run. My God, this is going to hit them hard and hit them quick, because the next round is definitely going to be fun, because FLS, we do know they do hold some grudges over these teams, and whoever tried to mark them down definitely will be caught back into their karma here. But unfortunately, we're going to have to give it to HLV and AKG. Don't score too much, but at least they got themselves some top 6 here. When it comes to the grand finals, it's all about the top 6. Only top 6 will get into the grand finals later.
That's right. And right now, FaZe is definitely poised in position to do so, as they've managed to stack up quite significant bonus points so far. As we take a look at the other side of the page, very unfortunate for Fellas ID. They have not scored, but they've only played 1 round so far. ETS, MCR, as well as 7-9 have yet to play, as I believe they were in Group D. So perhaps we'll see a lot more action coming from Group D as well as the upcoming match. So for now, they will just stand by and keep a watchful eye. Moms, however, MetroMinis, they're not really hitting their mark so far. So we've seen 2 wins for FaZe Clan, where they've already got plenty of points from Mistyport as well as from Arctic Base to overtake nongYing's efforts in Arctic Base Match 1.
Back-to-back, what do you call it, zombie dinner? There's going to be back-to-back coming up from a FaZe Clan. Yeah, it seems like the rise of the tide is coming into the MetroCeria when it comes to the final week. And we don't see any regions of Indonesia yet to take away the maps. But we have something else for you guys. It's going to be Pirate the Captain Jack Contra. We'll call it out for you.
Ahoy, mateys! This is the PUBG Mobile Airdrop Carnival. It's officially open now, and call your friends to join a Pirate Bash. Explore the Ocean Odyssey new team area, Pirate Booty Island. as you fellas can collect airdrop tokens and head to the Airdrop Carnival in-game event and Airdrop Carnival level 5 for guaranteed set of emote choice. Don't forget to jump in the game from August 16 to 18 to open your airdrop crate. Have a great day.
Now we have the new accent available for everybody else out there, starting from the 6th of August down to the 13th of September. Sorry, 13th of August, but the 30th of September. What the heck is this? Why is this a scam for me, man? You guys know that's going for crates, and it's gonna be. We remind you every single day, every time we have the Metro Royale. Anyways, if you guys still don't know, I don't know where you guys been, in which cave you've been living in, okay? And also, happy Independence Day, Malaysia.
Yep, happy Independence Day. Maybe they're hiding somewhere in the tunnel, not really receiving all that full intel. But hey, we're always there to remind you guys that there's a whole lot of events as well as deals that's within the realms of PUBG Mobile. As we are getting ourselves ready for our next match, this is going to be our same groups in action as they now take on Misty Port. And like you mentioned, now with the lack of zombies heading into Misty Port, I kind of miss some of all these zombie bosses, as well as some shenanigans that teams will actually face heading into that late stage of the game. But hey, we're going to get ourselves at least a lot more battles taking place here with the random spawns. One team that I hope to see do much better is right on the screen, MetroMinis. Now, they're in a decent spot, spawning around that power plant so they can actually get some head start in the form of loots. HLV as well as Fellas, not too far off. Fellas, starting a very corner of the map, they need to take a battle before they can get by safely.
You know, with militants in this map, I think the players kind of confused when they got tapped out by player or militants just now. But the mobs are the real player alive, and FLS responding quite late against HLV, despite they got a couple of taps before. And FLS, this time, they're gonna go for the hunt. They're not happy the fact that they ended up with a 0. And here comes the raging squad of FLS, want to take back what they should have since the start.
Yeah, look at how clean they've been able to hustle through these members of HLV. I say clean, and then there's Muinada as well, coming in with a long flank angle, as this is just going to be a three-way battle. But it really seems like Ate is exhausted here, already being forced to pop open that med kit to get that 100% heal. Now he's also aware because Winara has fired some shots and he's headed to the direction, so he's got to have his weapons out in order to try to fend off not only some of the members of Fedless IB, but also MetroMini. As he tries to make his pass, it is Pram that will catch him off. So 4 points back-to-back already secured by FLS.
Ram trying to find MetroMini. Nax, unfortunately, they're giving away the position the moment they open fire against HLV before. I feel like FLS, you know what, we cannot peacefully loot out until this guy's being eliminated. So they will try to obliterate these two teams back to back when it comes to firepower. Pram and Lan, they should be aware of these two players. They are aggressively approaching that side. Singers for Trio always goes for the off angle, and Pram on the other hand is on rampage. He got himself 6 eliminations here. We're back to Battle Royale mode, I assume.
Well, it's crazy. Pram, 6 eliminations by himself. It really felt like there's just no chance at all for MetroMini, or even the rest of HLV. That just goes to show how angry and how serious they are in winning this whole tournament. Wow. I can't believe it. 8 altogether. So that's already 2.4 mil just by starting out the game in the first 5 minutes.
We might end up with only 1 or 2 teams left in the game if this keeps going on. Well, might as well win it takes all. Why not? Let's just go for it. Go big or go home, ladies and gents. But here comes an end, grading out to the side of AKG players. There's going to be a monkey in trouble. Sakura do take their high elevations. Here comes an entertain dropping by, and it might actually hit on Monkey. Close enough. Now Sakura's down on the other end. What they have going in 2 ways. FaZe Clan seems to be winning over the skirmish. But I'm looking forward if the side of FLS want to be part of this too.
Yeah, it really feels like they're on the other end of the map, so probably they won't be butting in just yet. So it's really down to FaZe Clan. They're already clearing up against both Arkong and Team Prime. Somehow survives that ordeal. Keyboy, his vest is absolutely shredded off. but thankfully he stays intact. So Prime will still have these 3 members to work with. FaZe Clan, they're definitely on high alert as they heard those shots coming from afar. And like you said, if this continues on, we probably see only 2 teams available for lead. So who's it going to be? Is it going to be FaZe Clan or Prime to survive this ordeal?
I mean, we had only one team survive before, and that was the rise of AKG. But unfortunately, they did what Prime did before. They didn't exit out on time. So
they burned all on 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's going to change over 20 minutes, by the way. And next, we have FaZe Clan here rooting out against Prime. It's going to be Stone Cold finish off in an instant. There was a clean execution by Sakura. But based on how Kim Tony repositioned himself, this is going to be super interesting. Whether Prime can fight back or not. At this point, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's going to be a little tough, but nongYing, he's doing the best that he can to suppress the entirety of FaZe Clan right now. Another good drop. Prime now also have been standing out in the open, and that's going to be traded back. It's only Mantap left on the block with majority of the members of FaZe Clan storming right in. So, like you predicted to, we're only going to see these 2 teams, and maybe, just maybe, when these 2 teams move into the radiation zone, there might just be only one standing in the way. So FaZe Clan, poised in position, Mantap, he's just going to be lurking around. Maybe he could pick off Sakura to turn the tides around, but no chance at all. nongYing has got that one covered up.
And it's down to FLS versus FaZe. I mean, if they even collide, depending on the direction they're going. If both teams going for, since they are on top of Garden Milestone, so I assume they're going to go for Mines Warehouse next for FLS. Question is, do FaZe have the same idea, knowing the fact, hey, we already taken out a couple of teams out there. Definitely not going to be enough people staying in the game right now, so they probably wanted to go pretty much same, FaZe Clan and FLS, but FLS do have the extra 1 point. They both teams know they eliminated 2 teams already, so idea-wise, probably going to thinking like, wait, probably the radiation zone right now is not enough people in there, or maybe none, since we're taking out 2 teams right now. And if both teams happen to be having the same ideology of moving in the same direction, might actually have only 1 team that survived this one.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping to see, if that's going to be taking into effect. But all of them are still loading on to the outskirts. None of the teams are within the mine warehouse just yet. So it is absolutely up for grabs. FaZe Clan, they look as if they're slightly ahead, but like I said, there was 1 extra elimination in the hands of Fellas ID that adds another 300k on the block. So no matter what happens here for either FaZe Clan or Fellas, whether if they bump into each other, it has been guaranteed that at least they walk away with some elimination points to book off the round with the bare minimum of close to 2 million at the very least, if that's going to be FaZe Clan, and definitely 2.4 million secured. And oh, here we go. This is it. Choo-choo. This is it. It's time for us to see who is that one squad to stand tall.
Winner takes it all. And winner gonna take it all, man. And we have plenty of time still. Even if they engage after this, if they are on their way towards the radiation, so they have extra 10 minutes. If they can wrap things around within these 2 minutes, there's plenty of time for them to loot up with the map all for themselves. Now, FaZe can definitely have a better start when it comes to getting those damage done just now. Unfortunately, now they have 1 player knocked down at the back. Question is, how do FLS respond to this? Will they go straight for the rush? And they might actually win this over. FLS! I mean, they're holding the grudge. This is the best time to get that sweet revenge.
Yeah, this is the best time to do so. And it's just crazy that we have Pram that's really catching on to some of these FaZe members. But now, with nongYing as well as Su Boy rushing into the block, he's still prioritizing on some of these loots. He's got that 1 million while he's at it, so why not? Now, I really want to see what's the approach here coming from Fellas ID. They are trying to wrap from the outskirts to move inbound, where I believe the entire squad of FaZe Clan has been revived, and Sakura was the only one to be taken out. So Fellas up a hit in terms of elimination points. And the one that was knocked out was the one carrying the most points. So it definitely did hurt some of these members of FaZe Clan for now. It's really down to where if they can win this duel with 1 member disadvantage.
Seems to be a bit of a standstill between FaZe Clan and FLS. It might actually take so much time here just to wrap things around. I'll still have 11 minutes on the clock, but unfortunately FaZe Clan, with that one player being eliminated, I assume that one player being eliminated just now, which was Sakura, probably holding the most loot on himself as well, because the numbers drop instantly and dramatically on the side of FaZe Clan. But FLS, they definitely do have the upper hand. If they score, this is going to be the first time we have more than 8 eliminations by a team by end of this round.
Indeed, that could potentially be the highest record of elimination points. So it really depends who's going to be the big victors out of that to also stash in whatever else that is left in this map. They got 10 more minutes to go. And here we have it. FaZe Clan now suppressing one member on the side of FaZe ID. Aria already being pressurized to make his advancement. As one after another, Zhao James catches them off, but he goes right into the fire and flames. Arya holding down the line. He does expect James to be on the outskirts as he tries to pop out. And yes, he does catch that member of FaZe Clan. And this is it. FaZe ID, absolute domination in this map.
Now, the challenge will be how much can they score? Since the map is all for themselves here, how much can they score for looting value-wise? 12 eliminations by now. That's like what? Times 3? More than 3 million worth, of course. It's almost going to be hitting that 5 million mark here just with those eliminations. But FLS, how can they make use to full efficiency when it comes to looting wise? And we have this going to be all... I think this is going to be the highest record when it comes to elimination in this map here across the entirety of the tournament by now.
Yeah, 12 elimination points. Like, we've talked about FaZe ID before to be that well-balanced team that can kind of take fights and also prioritize a whole lot of loots. But this is the most explosive that we've ever seen coming in from FaZe ID. And I'm pretty sure the production team is super happy about this because, like, they just made the observer's job so much easier throughout this match.
Yeah.
So,
and not just that, man. Well, this is why you don't mess with FaZe ID in their first map, you know. And they get really scary when they get angry. And this was definitely them showing a statement like, if you guys mess with us again, this is going to happen one more time. Because especially Prime, he's one of the most scariest player along the lineup of FLS. If you look at his numbers of eliminations, he's definitely taking it up there.
Yeah, like he started off just going guns blazing against HLV. And the moment they spot MetroMini, they're not letting them off at all. So he started off with 6. And as a matter of fact, in this fight, he managed to get a couple of knocks to suppress the advancement of FaZe Clan, despite not securing, you know, the elimination point. So it's evenly distributed to the rest of the members out there. I mean, Prem, what are you scouting out for? There's no other team. Just go. Just go. Come on. Come on. I think that maybe he's just trying to be extra cautious because they were not fully aware whether if the other squads are fully eliminated, which is why they're doing so.
We haven't seen bosses for quite some time. Maybe that's going to be the case here as well.
Maybe.
But it's going to be a no-brainer since they have full squads, so they can deal with those bosses here around. But, you know, it can never be too careful for a team, especially in this Battle Royale or Metro Royale mode. You never know what's going to lurk around the corner, too.
True enough. Fair play. But at the very least, you know, nothing seems to be too far out of reach for FaZe ID, even if it's going to be bosses. I mean, if FaZe Clan couldn't survive FaZe ID, I don't think these bosses could as well. If it does appear, speaking of which, well, that's not exactly a boss, but just a little bit of a mob. So, how many points exactly will they actually back here? I believe that should be an extraction point here in the mining fields. So, it's really about them just opening up all these crates as well as finding the boss to add a couple more million in farm value.
Yeah, I think the player is trying to find the extraction points on top of this mines warehouse because it's usually going to be on top of a rooftop. Since it's not there, I think they will relay back the information and probably one of them will try to find an extraction point from the outside after they loot it out. Then that's the case will be probably Arya will try to eject himself first out. And he might actually get out from the mines warehouse the earliest, try to find the extraction point, and will give the information back to us as a team to go out later. Because I don't see any extraction point for now inside of this area,
Yeah.
right at the current moment.
So that would mean that they have limited time to actually spend here in the mine warehouse. So they just want to ensure that they quickly stash up. Now they are getting into the 4 mil mark. So they have yet to actually explore the indoors of the warehouse just yet. So perhaps they are just slowly traversing through. Should be able to at least get a little bit more. While mobs after mobs are slowly getting taken down. Let's see what's in this one. Is it going to be high value for the side of land? Well, everyone for themselves right now. Jerry also has about 1.7. Oh, that's a really good box that he found right there. So close to 2 mil. And we're just basically buying time for 5 minutes until they can actually get out of this scenario. Meanwhile, the big boss is finally here.
Yeah, but it's going to be a variant P, I assume, that one. But I think they try to push the numbers as much as they can. It's not impossible for them to actually reach out to 15 million. This is Arctic-based, but this is Misty Port. So 15 million definitely going to be a value that's reachable. But for FLS, I mean, land needs help right now. So they definitely will try to go for the bosses. They do have plenty of time. But the moment the clock strikes on minute 12, they have to resort to, leave this area and try to find an extraction point from the outside.
That's right. Right now, closing into 9 million, almost 8.5 at the moment. There's some old train tickets out there. I don't think that there's any use of trains in this map, but not to worry, as land somehow is just avoiding the boss. I feel like they could just work together, quickly settle that, and call it a day, honestly. They don't really have to take too long because there's only 4 more minutes on the clock. And like you said, there's honestly not too much time before they look for an alternative extraction. So perhaps they're just happy enough with what they got. Gold
Yeah, the gold pile will be one of the highest values. So this is why they are trying to find themselves as much looting as possible around every corner of Mine's warehouse right now. I think they pretty much know where the extraction point will be because the moment you leave these tunnels, it's quite nearby around the exit point, the exit of these tunnels as well. So I think they're probably going to be mindful regarding the timer as well when it comes to the extraction point timer too. So for FLS, they're going to leave this boss at ease and let him be peaceful enough to live his own life. Well, they're trying to get themselves into the tunnel to exit out right now.
Yeah, they're just gonna leave him at peace for him to try to have a little bit of a treadmill moment onto that part of the terrain. Well, it seems like Fellas ID, they're well sorted now. So it's all about the final stash, 13 minutes on the clock that you have to be aware. And still, the variants are currently keeping them slightly busy. It really feels like they really don't want to waste time on the boss at all. Though, despite it could still give them maybe a few 100K or so to close up another million. Speaking of a flare, Pram just pops 1. And that's just pretty much it. Fellas ID, they should be able to get themselves out in the jiffy as they are already looking to cut out of Garnet Mason. So, as for now, we just take some moment to chill with only 2 minutes and a half remaining.
I just hope they managed to exit out. That's it. If they did not get out on time, now that's going to be something else entirely. I mean, they eliminated so many teams. And the elimination won't even count, even if one player seems to be staying back or being held back by mobs or monster later today. Now, 2 minutes on the clock and the timer. I don't know if they know the password here. I assume there's going to be a shortcut going straight to the surface. Yep, or there might be an extraction point or even higher value loot here in case they manage to open it and they manage to do so. So this is definitely going to hit almost 16 million. More than that, possibly, by end of this round for the side of FLS.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now it's only down to Pram. They already found that extraction point. So Pram, and within that one room himself, he brought back about 1 million. And let's see what's in this one. Okay, just some motor oil. decent enough as he's hoping to close in that 1 mil mark, but I think that there's not enough time. So 1 minute and a half, he's already closing out, looking for that extraction. It's better to be on foot for him. Is that mining cart is not going to move too fast for himself. So gotta make it quick. Pram, he's got to dash out right now. So that's the primary focus. 12 mil added with 12 elimination points. That's the golden number out there. So FaZe ID, undisputed kings in this map.
Pram, make it fast. They need you to get out. If not, you'll be sabotaging the team in less than a minute. Now, I think it's close to extraction point. Oh, he actually popped one. It actually popped right across. Speaking of luck, man, he got right on top of it in the very last minute too. Now that's gonna be the end. FLS definitely undisputed when it comes to just loot value. They already scored 50 million out of it, but when it comes to elimination wise, is it gonna be the same numbers? And that's probably going to be one of the highest players earning in this map when it comes to FLS in the Misty Port.
And this has been the best run so far from FaZe ID. And this is not the side of FaZe ID that says, hey, we just directly go for that radiation zone for those high value loot. The moment they start off and they saw, hey, we are at the edge of the map, I think we could do something right here. And they were unhappy of what went down on that last game. They say, guys, it's time to turn things up a notch.
No. It's like this. Oh, you kill us. You want to see? Okay, we show you. Okay, come, bring the fight. Come. We show you who number one. That's what happened lah.
Yeah, you want to takao, we takao lah. That's how we sort it out. So with that, this is just that perfect round for them. Like, honestly, I love seeing this side of FaZe ID. Like, full rampage mode, not even losing any members at all. So they got plenty of backspace. The entire map is theirs. They book out in time with 1 minute remaining. So there's just no better round that we've ever seen coming from all the other teams. So they really make it up for whatever that was lost in the previous round with
what team?
0.
There's only FaZe ID in the game just now. We don't have any other teams. I mean, this is definitely gonna be not that of a brainer when it comes to the statsman to count the numbers, except for the side of FaZe ID, of course. Their numbers are definitely breaking the record here as well when it comes to the most eliminations of players down there. But for the rest, it's pretty key, and except for, of course, which was the other team? I think it was it FaZe Clan that scored quite a number of eliminations too when it comes to the very last minute, right? 7 eliminations. So when it comes to the numbers, a lot of zeros down there. So come on, Statsman. Yeah, it's a lot of zeros down there.
It's fine. Just count that 7 eliminations. FaZe Clan's already out anyway. So all they really have to calculate for is FaZe ID, right? I believe there was only one other squad that managed to take that 1 elimination point, and that's how crazy this round has been. It's only these 3 teams that were pretty much getting those elimination points, and of course the biggest bulk of it is in the hands of FaZe ID. So I guess the only thing that they're taking time to account for is to prepare the overlays, making sure that it's prim proper.
No, there's too many numbers in this game. We do know that. And when it comes to, they have to tally up the numbers. The hardest number is going to be coming up from FaZe ID. They had too many eliminations. They had too much loot to count into it as well. So finally we get our match ranking. Thank you so much, production. You guys are the best. But let's head over. How much did they finally score for FLS or FaZe ID? 15 million. Almost. He did at 60 million though.
Very, very close. I think Pram was really eager to make it a 16 mil, but he didn't really have the essence of time. But just take a look at that. 12 eliminations is just baffling, right? Like, they started off going for that full run. Who got hit? Let's see. It was HLS first, then there's MetroMini, and later on FaZe Clan. That's how those 12 points come out and about. But FaZe Clan themselves, they also find those 7 eliminations, so they don't walk away empty-handed at the very least, with 2.1 million in the bank, while 300 for the players of Arkong.
Wow. This is rare to see. Despite they have all 4 members of FLS still survive. Usually it's going to be Aria with the most player earnings. The most he actually got out was around 8 million on himself only. But this time we have a different name. It's going to be Lan. Since he got one of... I mean, Prime definitely got the most eliminations of players. But he balanced it out both when it comes to looting-wise. Because Lan is always going to be put under the role of a fragger. So you don't really fill his pocket by the end of the day. But maybe this time we get to see him more. Because, you know, FLS, they have the map all by themselves.
Yeah, we take a look at how the rotations went. So the moment the game starts, these 2 teams were cleared off. FLS takes the middle. And then you have FaZe Clan on the left side of the screen, clearing the other 2 squads. And then they all battle on towards the corners of the garden in the song. And winner takes all, like we have evidently seen. So FaZe ID, they just quickly gather every single resources and call it the perfect day. So FaZe ID, we'll still see more games coming in from them later on, as this is going to be the conclusion of this group. Well, when we add all these points together, take a look at that. FaZe now moving into the top 3 with just 1 round. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely got their rage up here. When it comes to FLS, I mean, they're probably going to play in the next map as well, which we do have C versus D next, which is going to be interesting because Group D, we're going to have ETS as well, reintroducing the same name MetroCeria. But FLS, can they get more? And when it comes to the numbers, I mean, the numbers definitely got my eyes running. There's so many numbers and commas down there. So good luck, guys, remembering all your points in the board right now.
Yeah, all you have to do is just look at the team and what is their current number of position. I guess that's the easiest way to go about. So later, I believe that ETS, MCR as well as 7-9, they'll make their debut here for our Saturday run. As much as they're sitting at 0 at the moment, things could easily change into the match that they will play out. As we see, 2 maps have been won by FaZe Clan, 1 by nongYing, and of course with FaZe ID with the biggest rack of points that they've ever gotten in the Misty Port. So with that, up next is going to be Group C versus Group D, as we'll go on to the same rotation map of both Arctic Base as well as Misty Port yet again. So 2-2. Every week I just get surprised by how these teams play. Like, there's just always all forms of dynamics that they will show us from day after day.
Welcome to Metro Royale, finally, Contra, and that's what's fun about it. But when it comes to the recap of the maps, right? When it comes to winning Zombie Chicken, we're gonna call it Zombie Chicken, okay? Winner Zombie Chicken. It's ZC now, no W with chicken dinner. Chicken dinner, so Zombie Dinner. So yeah, ZD, WWZD, okay? So when it comes to Zombie Dinner, when it comes to the maps just now, we have a halfway through dominated by the high regions today. Seems like they are on the rise in the final week, but we're FLS ID all the way with what's left for the map here, because we're heading into the break before the last rotation of the map of Misty Port as well as Arctic Base. So see you guys in a couple of seconds. Don't go anywhere. See you guys just in a bit later for the end of the map.
Welcome back once again to the Metro Royale edition of the PUBG Mobile Super League Southeast Asia. Before we, of course, begin our full day run of the Battle Royale mode, it's going to be a long day for you, Choo, but at least, we have some fun time here having Metro Royale. And FaZe ID absolutely dominated that last match. Now we have an entirely new group in play. Let's see how will they fare. But before we get into game, it's time for us to roll the ads.
Oh, it's me, really? Yeah, I'm gonna do it differently this time. PUBG Mobile Airdrop Carnival is officially open. Call your friends to join the Pirate Bash. Explore the ocean under the new team area, the Forest Beauty Island. And have a great day, guys. Don't forget to upgrade your level of airdrop too. I almost choked myself. What do you mean?
Oh boy, take good care of yourselves, Choo. I thought you were trying to emulate Goofy for a moment, but
yeah, it was.
You were. Okay. And of course, there is the Galera exit with the most upgradable MG3 now available. Join the event and unlock coupons and limited outfits awards all the way till the end of September. So grab it while it lasts with 10 UC for your first spin daily. Okay.
I can't hold myself. I'm broken now. I'm so sorry, director. But yeah, I hope you guys are having a good time like we do. And speaking of which, no more words. But yeah, it's gonna be for last rotation of the groups here. We're gonna have Group C again against Group D, which we're introducing SEM9, MetroCeria or MCR, and ETS ESTIR the Strong. Now, when it comes to SEM9, they do have a star-studded lineup here for the Metro Royale, which you do have the Battle Royale players play, which surprisingly, some of them do play for the PMSL Battle Royale later today. So I don't know if, for me and Cloud last week, we're quite concerned about the players' mental state because the same player that played Metro Royale earlier today actually played Battle Royale later. And if, they forgot that they're in a different mode and a different kind of get confused, you might actually don't want to make it a habit there.
Yeah, later on, maybe you see them in the Battle Royale mode scavenging for loot and forgot, we're not in the circle, guys. We got to get in, that's going to be a little bit of a problem. But hey, it's a good warm-up round for their own Battle Royale later. While, they played so many tournaments before, and now it's where they put it to the test, as always. And I love seeing this Group D in action because we got strong names like ESTIR the Strong. It's just like the entails, right?
Bro, no. They didn't score any more points last week, so yes. I mean, they should live up to their name now because this is going to be the last chance to prove that, hey, they are strong.
Yeah, at least for the qualifiers, they have shown that they can do a lot coming in from the Thai region, but when it comes down to firepower-wise, of course, they still have some stuff to offer, but do they match up with some of all these pro players of 7-9? They're put in a very difficult group, especially if FaZe is going to be playing as well, then I would just wish everybody good luck because of what really went on for the last game. But teams are going on the rampage, but when it comes down to this upcoming map where we are having both group well, let me quickly check again just to be sure. Okay, it's Group C as well as Group D, so
yeah,
it shouldn't be
C and D.
It shouldn't be too problematic. It will still have its own form of chaos, but overall, I think we'll definitely get a fair share of a little bit of action as well as the looting phase. So with that being said, Arctic base is where we're gonna start, Choo.
Yeah, Missile Silo will be one of the hotspot again. When it comes to the donut map, I call it a donut map because the Missile Silo will be in the center. Seems to be great out here right now. But don't forget, we might actually have early skirmishes or brawls again because the FaZe ID just show us what they're made of. But this time we have 7-9 who love those gun brawls as well. So, I mean, if the side of FaZe ID want to do what they just did in the Misty Port, they can actually try to pull it off again. Yeah, they very well could do so. When we take a look into what you call the donut map, right? This is like the donut with a lot of cream indirectly in the middle, the juiciest part of it, which is where they want to be at. Missile Silo now being approached by ETS very, very quickly. If you take a look at the mini map, they're just
running straight for the center, and it seems like there's not going to be any form of scuffles going on the outskirts. But HLV, they love to go set up for an ambush. Maybe it's payback time, you know? Like, it really depends if they would be able to move into that scene rather quickly to meet up with FaZe ID. But FaZe on the other corner are also advancing very, very smoothly directly into the center of it all. So Arkong already inside of the tunnels. They're just going to make a swift run, but Sem9 is going to be hot on the tail of Arkong as well. So it really depends.
I'm looking at ETS as well as FLS here, both moving in the same directions towards the tunnel area. So I assume they might actually have some meet and greet down there somewhere. So speaking of which, we might have some tunnel fight later today. But for FLS, they're taking their own sweet time. AKG already got himself inside. Now AKG, if only they pulled off, I think it was with you when they first starting off the week, right? Where they eliminated the entire map by themselves as well, just like how FLS did. That might be them just now if they actually ejected all players out. Now, I am looking forward for AKG to have that redemption here today.
Yeah, I really hope so as well. And they were also wiped out on that past game. So they desperately need those points to actually move up the leaderboard rankings. Now, we love seeing all these players on these mining carts. And I'm just tempted to just create like a soundbite for them every time they just go on rolling. Like, heave, ho, let's go. Anyways, it's not gonna work out. It's only a short
I can
ride.
tell, yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, they would be fun to have those kind of show matches. Like, I did talked about it with Cloud. Imagine if we have a boat race, like a show match.
Ooh, boat race.
Before the game start for grand finals too, right? Or even like a heave-ho race of the mines cart would be nice. But speaking of ETS before, I did mention about ETS were on their way towards the missile silo. There's already Sem9 in there. Now, Sem9, their usual strat, it's going to be getting into the radiation zone and try to loot up there as long as they want to. Now, there are some teams like, I think it was ETS before, or was it FLS, that they just quickly have a glimpse on the radiation zone, and I think it was probably AKG. Then they exit out early. So Sem9, are they doing the same thing? Or never mind, it's going to be ETS taking the firepower action first. But don't forget, Sem9 is around the corner too.
Yeah, ETS absolutely gating off Arkong from moving up the ladder. So they're going to take some time here before going for those big haul of loots. Smart ideas as ETS, they were rather early. They've already gotten about 4 million at the moment. So they can do as they please. Arkong, is there going to be an alternative route for them to cut by? I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of different routes right underneath these tunnel passages that they can make good use of. But for now, they won't be involved at the moment where we're already seeing ETS taking some of all these militants quickly as they go, securing more and more of these stash. But they got to be very mindful because Sem9, they have already arrived on that far corner of the missile silos.
Yep. I'm waiting for FLS. Are they interested to be in missile silo as well? They probably anticipated. Whoever tried to go against them now, whenever there's Sem9 in the group that they're fighting against, I think they definitely put in mind that there's going to be Sem9 going straight for radiation zone early on. So for FLS, they probably try to eject one player out. That's going to be the case for Aria. And the other three probably going to get into the radiation zone just to clear things up in case, there's possibility they can actually eliminate some of the players out here, even finish off with a strong value loot by the end of the day. But for ETS, they scored himself almost 5 million right now. If Sem9 happens to be colliding with them, that's a huge loss for ETS.
True enough. And this week we have Mantap on board as well. He wasn't all too present on the very first week of the MetroReal action, but it's good to see Mr. Old Man, like how the Malaysians love to call him, to be involved here, trying to earn some big bucks through MetroReal, while FaZe ID coming across.
Yeah, he's been in with the lineup since last week, so I think he's pretty much having it fun. Because it's Mamporang. There's no way he's gonna just resign or just gonna go for retirement. And we know that he's still young at heart. He's still young as a person too. I mean, It's because he's so veteran in this PUBG Mobile scene, right? So everybody call him like Warga Emas, or it's called directly as the Golden Age people. But if only we have boy cards you joining in, it'd be fun too.
Yeah, we definitely do miss the legend from Iraq, but you know, like it's been quite a while since we actually get a glimpse of him. I believe that he's on TikTok doing all kinds of businesses as well. From time to time, some people might have actually catch him on certain live streams as well as posts. If you do follow some of your favorite content creators, ex-pro players, current pro players, there's just so much that there is in the scene of PUBG Mobile. Meanwhile, ETS found themselves a massive room full of loot. What's in the bank? Oh, some documents, and I believe these chips actually provide a couple of 100,000s for themselves. So decent start for the side of ETS, considering that they have so far picked off one player from the form of Arkong. The rest of them, although sharing this whole spot of the missile silo, they haven't really fully gone for that engagement yet. So maybe they've called in for a priest treaty and ETS are well on their way out.
Hopefully there's no gatekeepers down there, but I do see some now probably on top of them right now. While MCR just gonna go for the peaceful route. They're not gonna challenge anything, but unfortunately, I feel like Pram definitely got a glimpse of one of the players of MCR, since he's in the position to take into a rush or going for aggressive push later. So MCR, I think they're quite oblivious regarding the information of what's happening outside. Maybe they opened fire early on against certain zombies that gave away the positions. Hence, FLS pretty much aware and on guard right now. I don't know if they want to get into here or just going to leave it by. But yeah, looking at Prem, no way he's letting them through or get out from this.
Oh, this is definitely going to be a little bit of a cheeky stance coming in. But you could tell that Arya's coming in for the other side as they already spot the members of MetroCeria moving out and about. And I don't think MetroCeria knows that there is fellas in presence. Shots now being fired. I believe that's towards mobs from MetroCeria. So steadily as they go, the trades will come into effect. And MetroCeria, they're already getting shut down. Beautiful stuff coming in from the side of Jerry. Meanwhile, the nades are prime right in. They're all being funneled into the same place. And it's a double knock from that grenade out of Arya.
Oh, here comes the follow-up. All they need to do for FLS just cleaning up the job with the one last man standing. MCR, they got almost 8 million worth of loot and value. Might just going down in vain. And that's free looting for FLS. They don't have to go and scour around to find the loot. It's going to be presented to them by those boxes. And speaking of FLS, you guys poke a sleeping dragon just now by taking a fight when they don't want to fight earlier today. Since you've woken up the beast, now they're definitely going to go for a hunt early, and then they're just going to go for the loot, just like how they did in the last map.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for MCR to face off against a very familiar side of Fella's ID. Meanwhile, we go back into the missile silo. It's going to be AKG that's around these corners. I'm not too sure if 7-9 is on the other section of the map. It didn't seem like they've left just yet. 4 million in the backs for 7-9. ETS happily moved out of the way already. I believe that they should be looking for... Wait. We're getting a flip. Can we get that again? Arms Coco?
Nah.
Oh,
yeah, there you go.
Ooh, look at that.
It was pretty cool, man. So macho. But yeah, it doesn't worth anything if they cannot be alive by the end of this run. So he has to make sure now. He shows what he's capable of with that stylish pose, but can he stylishly end the round being alive? Because we do know last we've seen Sam9 probably going to go for the hunt. FLS definitely try to find the targets, and they are pretty close themselves by now.
Yeah, speaking of which, it really looks like 7-9, they're done looting up the corners of Missile Silo. So it's going to be a fella's ID that comes in rather late. They might not be able to at least get those high-ticket items coming in from these crates, but what they can do is to find the target onto the side of Arkong, and maybe by then they just stash those points from eliminations instead to
safely secure their round. I say safely, but it's always going to be a risk. Arkong could also strike back. So it's at least a safe distance before these teams actually butt into each other's way. But for now, it really feels like this whole area has been preoccupied by previously ETS as well as 7-9. So if you add together, that's 10 million that has been taken off from just Missile Silo alone.
Yep. I'm looking at the distance between AKG and 7-9. It's pretty close themselves. The thing is, bad news for them because last time we saw FLS is pretty much on the way here. So if these two teams happen to be fighting against each other, the noise will definitely attract the rest of FLS. Try to go for... never mind, Lan is already in here. AKG, 7-9. Whoever try initiate the fight, they probably won't be alive unless if their defense is pretty strong. So far, we only see one player of FLS. The rest, I have no clue where are they right now.
Yeah, that's also back in the question whether if they're really looking forward to actually spend more time here inside of Missile Silo, where we have Lan scavenging around. But I'm not too sure how much is in his pocket right now. Lan is moving deeper and deeper towards the territory. And keep in mind, 7-9, they haven't fully left this area. They're playing by the tunnel, so they're hoping for a catch later on. So once these teams settle the scores, that's where they also have to be prepared for what 7-9 is cooking up underneath them. So BJ, he's being very careful about this. I think he spot Lan running around, which is why he's pulling up his crosshair, trying to see if there's going to be any chance at all that Lan's going to pass right through. But coast is clear. This has been rather peaceful other than some strikes onto AKG as well as MCR. What? Wait,
no
where did that come from? Oh, no!
I think it's all the way coming up from Arya, possibly. Or even Lan. I think he knows that. Yeah, there's going to be on the backside here. We have 793 and also, oh my god, 79 taking the whole lot of FLS into their grave. FLS, they thought they can surprise the other teams, but it's going to be them back that will be taken out by 7-9. And 7-9, they have 4 million in the back, and their loot is still going up for the numbers with those snatch and, steals away the loot from the side of FLS, leaving FLS with only 2 players who still trying to fight against AKG 2v2.
Here we go, and Aura gets dropped as well. This is looking so bad for Fellas ID. Oh, Arms Coco, we saw that flare, and he does have the skills to also book out getting that elimination point, and now steals away some portions of the loot as it's equally distributed between these members of 7-9 as well as Arkong. So 50-50. It's a decent haul, but fellas, this is another round of them burning out inside of the Arctic base.
Well, at least good news for ETS. There's nobody trying to disrupt their looting process right now. They already ejected one of the players. That's possibly one of the highest loot player. But unfortunately, the moment I mentioned it, one of the ETS player being knocked down, finished off in an instant. So I assume it's going to be HLV perhaps, since they are not here. That's the only 2 teams not inside of Mr. Silo. And 7-9, they looted up, they're gonna leave. They're trying to find the extraction point, knowing that if they are a bit later, there might be some gatekeepers in the tunnel, so they are being extra careful and have their guards up when they are on their way to their exit extraction point.
Yeah, happy days for 7-9 as well. This being their very first game, and they're already at least stashing close to 5 million at the moment. ETS, they will try to play it cool, but once they lose that one member, I hope it's not a member that has high ticket items with them. And true, as a matter of fact, it was HLV that was man marking onto ETS. Now, this is going to be a problem for ETS to get towards any form of extraction point. So, believe that to be Sphinx right underneath. Now, how much is in the back of Sphinx? I really do wonder. HLV being very, very opportunistic about this. And we saw these dumpster plays that have worked out before. And HLV, they are just dumpster hunting right now.
Spence, yeah, I think that's definitely HLV that taken away ETS plays just now since they scored himself 1 eliminations. But for ETS, they have to deal with this. But unfortunately, it's going to be two-way war. A big swing for ETS from the front and the back. Samna Mumparn scouted out one of the players. And Spence, unfortunately, how much will it cost them for ETS? Dropping that one player costs over $1 million worth. Now, that's going to be a hefty amount, unfortunately. Well, they will resort to only 3 million, and they ejected that player way early on. That's a smart move. At least they still score something by the end of the day for ETS. But now it's back to HLV versus M9.
Yeah, and at that point in time as well, Ate has managed to spot Mamparang out in the open because he was trying to go in for the loot against Sphinx. Mamparang, I don't think he has the high-ticket items on him for now because M9... they're still carrying 3 million, or perhaps it's being distributed because once he's dropped down, the number seems to have decreased. So it's good news for Hasta La Vista. The Malaysian team so far rocking it out, and ETS only ejected 1 member. So that's 3 million only that was cashed out.
Still a lot by a player for that 3 million, though. He carried quite a number, so they want to make sure the risk is free for the players with the most loot. But for Sam9, they are worth 3.1 million with 2 players remaining to eject out. All that's left for us right now is going to be only 1 team. That's going to be Hasta La Vista, will be one of them as well. And AKG already booted them out. So HLV, they still have 3 minutes on the clock. They can put up to good use of it with some last-minute looting for the players. I think Genie Boy is probably going to be one of the most highest value player. While... Fee Bay will try to loot last minute here just to push the numbers up.
Yeah, and just a decent haul for HLV in the current moment. They're closing in, nearing towards 2 million. As a matter of fact, there's a crate from Sphinx as well as Mamparang. So you expect Ate to also get a few numbers off the block. I did see that there's another 2 players of Arkong that has yet to be ejected out from what we see on the right side of the screen. So I believe that to be a wide distance where Arkong will not be able to actually spot some of these members of HLV. 2 minutes on the clock, so dumpster diving still is HLV to see if Arkong's going to be moving into this corner. But I would safely say that the game's pretty much concluded from this point, while HLV... they now found those big ticket crates out of the fallen players, and that will be 2.6 mil added with 3 elimination points. So 3 million is definitely secure.
Now, I saw the question about the remaining players of AKG inside of Mr. Silo. Can they find any extraction points for themselves? They're not having the best loot there. It's about 2.1 mil on the side of BD. Definitely high value players. And last time we saw BD, he sabotaged the team. The only one didn't exit out. We remember that one in the first week, right? So BD, don't make the same mistake here.
I hope that they would be able to at least cash out right now. I mean, the other alternative, right? Usually they come in with like a fixed spawn of items with them. If I were to not find my way to an extraction point, I would just nade myself. Like, at least my team has already gotten some points, right? So we'll consider some portions to be lost out of the trade, but at least everything is accounted for. Then to have 0 points, then even eliminations don't count if you don't eject out. Now, 1 minute left on the clock. I mean, HLV, you're pretty much done here. Just get out of the map.
The thing is, even if he nade himself, but he's still bleeding out, unless he tosses a double nade with a different count timer, perhaps that might be the case. But if still bleeding out and the countdown already finished off, he still kind of contributes to his no point by the end of the day. But for HLV, on the other hand, they will secure themselves for the extraction points. Yeah, all 3 of them remaining will fly up, and it's going to be an exit for HLV. Now we have that 2 players of AKG with 25 seconds on the clock. Now, BD, you learned from your past mistake. That was the hardest lesson for you. Hopefully, you can get on time when it comes to extraction point. Same goes for the other member of AKG, Arms Coco, been flexing early on. 10 seconds on the clock, and I don't know if they can make it. They will just burn themselves off alive, knowing there's no time. But the knockdowns, no! They still will be count. Will it be count?
I believe they will be counted for. And this is what I talked about. Hey, at least they're smart enough to take some of all these advices, right?
Does
Because
that
they got
count? We have to ask because the timer's still there and it was still live at the very last second just now before they went down entirely.
Look, the time use is like literally 1 second left. I think it should be accounted for. It's very, very close. So we have to wait and see. Okay, that really got interesting real quick. So due to it's ETS there with very, very high values to be able to book out this matchup. So good news for them. They will be matching up against Sem9. But Sem9, I think they won some battles. They stole some stuff coming in from Fellas ID. Are they at number one? We'll see in moments time.
It's still back to the discussion of AKG just now. I mean, they making the same mistake multiple times here by BD and Arms Coco. And BD and Arms Coco nonetheless is the same person that sabotaged AKG earlier in week number 1. So, I mean, that 1 second, that's the question, right? When it comes to, yeah, you can actually self-nade or self-molotov in that case just to make sure that you still translate the points and won't end it up with a 0. Including your eliminations. But with that times left and they were still alive with the time it actually struck 10, I don't know if that actually counts, man.
Yeah, whether if it counts or not, they also lose a lot of that value because these final 2 members did carry some portion of, like, I believe the last time we saw it was a big million or 2 million at the very least. So it's so unfortunate. It's super unfortunate. If you're saying 4, even more devastating. But hey, at least they're trying to make a top 3 finish if they could. But it could have been so much more. They took too much. They were dancing. They were partying inside a missile silo.
Yeah.
That timing, I mean, that's literally more than 10 seconds, which could have actually been their ticket out for the extraction.
I mean, if
point.
there's a team that's swapping them or even a boss that seems to be spawning and try to stop them from exit out, that's something that's still reasonable. But just now, there's nothing else to stop them except for themselves. So, man, I saw after that happened to AKG, the whole crew seems to be losing a lot afterwards. But now they finally come back in this week and last week as well. I don't know how this will actually play behind the scene for AKG. I mean, they definitely... The crew, the other team members of AKG definitely devastated to see their team members, not manage to extract out on time. And they were taking the lead just now.
That's right. And like overall, I guess like we've seen some form of improvement. And the Molotov is definitely an adaptation just to make sure of whatever that's kind of left. But overall, for ETS, we talked about them having some rough weekend over the past week 2. It really felt like they have gotten a better idea of how to really get in and out safely. They weren't exactly fond of taking those battles because sometimes we just see them getting crushed out. Now, Fellas ID once again also have suffered another loss here inside of Arctic Base. It is showing some signs of concern on this particular map, but when we do go to Misty Port, I feel like if they were to spawn at the edge of the map again, there's a very high chance we see that bounce back happening coming from Fellas.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely not happy they've been taken out by the other teams. We saw that happen in their first rotation of map against Group D before. It was A versus C, I think. Was it C? Yeah, A versus C. So it was C, and it's going to be C versus D this time. I mean, they definitely want to flex their firepower as well for FLS ID. And we can see they're getting this sweet revenge while taking domination over the second map early before without any contest. 12 eliminations. That's going to be breaking the record out there. So 3 teams they taken out by themselves. I mean, with this going on for FLS, can they actually eliminate 5 other teams since the start, if that's the case?
Yeah, we'll see. Well, now, of course, we take our time to tabulate all these scores out there. When it comes down to trades, I guess like we will still see high impact coming from Sem9, even despite them really being so sure focused onto getting into all these high tier loot areas of the radiation zone. They still have plans. That's what's really crazy about this Malaysian squad, right? And so far today, they're coming in hot with those high spirit because it's a holiday on Monday. They are absolutely ecstatic to just really going for that full push. So Sem9, they got the best of both worlds in this round.
I think the pause definitely going to be a bit of discussion whether to include the points of AKG. And I'm going to have to wait and see because right now is the time of truth and AKG. Well,
Yeah, they got it.
but that's going to be only the eliminations there. Unfortunately, there's no time earning. There's no earnings coming up from this match ranking for AKG.
Imagine if that was real money and they pull off a heist and they just couldn't take that 2 million out and they just settle for 6. I guess like at least it's something, but they end up at number 5. But you know, it's ETS at number 1 spot and 7-9 with 4.59. This is still looking very, very healthy for the squad as they will later on move into Misty. And HLV coming onto top 3 as Sondheim has always been the main guy to carry most of the bucks back home. 6 million by himself.
During the qualifiers, definitely they have some a spotlight for the side of ETS, I assume, because when it comes to the group stage, we don't see them too much for ETS. Always been taken out by the other team. And it's nice to see them finally on the board here for the group stage in the final week. Sound high with 6 million, over 6 million player earning. Imagine how thick his pocket can be when it comes to ejecting out of that map.
Yeah, and you take a look at this again, how they managed to achieve this massive haul. They were the earliest one inside of the missile silo. And I was really surprised that Fellas ID didn't really go directly inside. They were late to the scene. That's why like they had a fair share of struggle. Where once ETS is done looting the middle, they went on the outskirts and just scavenge hunt to the point that they find that extraction point. 7-9, very proactive. They stay somewhere towards central and on the outskirts they look for those exit frags to also book out the match. While first Arkong almost didn't make it out alive, but at least they got bright ideas to at least pull that 600k back onto their bank. But let's take a look at the overall rankings. What do we have so far, Choo Choo?
And FaZe Clan still taking number 1 spot. Unfortunately, FLS after their big howl of run when it comes to the map before this, they have to end their run quite quickly in this last map just now. Still gonna stand still at 3rd place. I do love the fact that when it comes to the final week, we have new contenders coming out against FLS, which is going to be nongYing as well, 2nd place down there. But HLV, well, there's going to be no 0 this time on the first ball. But MCR, unfortunately, as well as AKG, the only teams without team earnings. But worst case scenario is going to be on top of MCR. No point at all for the entire day yet.
Yeah, it's been pretty rough. But of course, this being their first game throughout the course of this weekend, it's still going to be plenty of opportunities for MCR to find a way to bounce back. Though these teams are making it a lot harder, so MCR, they probably want to take a little bit more of an aggressive approach. And first, we only have one game that will be between Group C as well as Group D to be played out in Misty Port. So we're going to be having a carnival happening inside of PUBG Mobile, and this is going to be an airdrop carnival pirate bash where you can explore the Ocean Aussie new team area Pirate Booty Island. Collect airdrop tokens, head to the airdrop carnival in-game event to upgrade your airdrop crate to level 5 for guaranteed set of emote of your choice. Don't forget to jump into the game from August 16 to 18 to open your airdrop crate. Have a great day,
There's a pirate being choked by a bird or, you know, by something. Don't know. But yeah, guys, don't forget the Galadriel X-Suit Advanced upgradable MG3 is now available in the game. So join the event and unlock coupons and limited outfit award from the 6th of August till the 30th of September just for you guys. A new X-Suit is available. Make sure you sign in and get it yourself. The X-Suit.
Yeah, be absolutely mesmerized by Choo Choo's beautiful voice. And, you know, like, well, sometimes I kind of wish that we get to cast at that kind of tone where everyone's just feeling super relaxed.
It's gonna be ASMR casting, man. And we get cancelled for that, you know. I mean, we might actually get cancelled.
Yeah, I don't want to put people to sleep because people are here to be entertained. But some people are really into all these, like, smooth sounding stuff. So, oh boy, Choo, this is getting a little dangerous for me. I might snooze off in the next match.
Sorry, guys. Keep it PG, man.
No, don't worry about that. We're not going into the other ratings, but overall, it's more about, all these teams, they're really putting high octane action, which is why we sometimes get super excited over some of all these crazy highlights, like what FaZe ID have done earlier today. So it's another chance for FaZe ID to once again race towards the top, with ETS now putting some pressure upon them as well, while they've played probably a total of 4 games today. So they have to make sure that this final game, FaZe ID could book out with big stash.
We're going to put aside when it comes to the points, right? We do know we're going to meet at FaZe ID, probably nongYing. We do know they're going to get into the grand finals. We're going to have to wait for the grand finals by tomorrow. We're going to get to know it tomorrow. But today I want to see something else. Okay, surprise us with some, peekaboo threat for the teams teams that love to hide and wait it out and gatekeeping. That's going to be one way to do it, because Prime did it before. And we saw Boom did it as well. They don't want to go for looting. They're so lazy to go and find every corner and have to fight the mobs. There's so much energy to invest into. Why don't we just wait around the extraction point and just take away all those boxes laying around later on by the teams that already looted up probably almost 10 million. Now that's fun.
Yeah, that's definitely what HLV could potentially pull up, when usually in Arctic base, they are the dumpster hunters that is waiting for teams to be popping up. And last game, they managed to catch at least 1 or 2 members out there. Now that we're moving into Misty Port, maybe there's no dumpsters for them to hide out, but they can always surprise some of all these teams trying to make that exit in some of all these instances. But I wonder if Arkong could also make recoveries into this match by doing so as well, because I think they put their effort. They actually went out of the way, but they were dancing. They were having some happy feet till they burned themselves.
What Arkong really needs to fix is not the points right now. What Arkong really needs to fix is going to be their bonding and relationship within their teammate, because I don't know how the rest of the teams will respond to that when the very last minute they didn't make it out again. It was the same person, BD. Every single time, BD is going to be the troublemaker for AKG. Yeah,
they definitely are. And, of all these places in this Misty Port, one of my favorite names of the city is Seafood. It's starting to make me hungry because it's a little past lunchtime, but hope you guys are having a good time so far, as we do have decent distribution of teams. And take a look at this. It's MCR by the very corner map, fellas. Is going to be spawning somewhere towards the school area. So perhaps that kind of wraparound, we'll see them meet up with AKG as well as Hasta La Vista.
Watch out for ETS and SM9. They might actually collide with each other too. HLV, they're going to play around the port area, which is going to be just around the banks of the river. It's going to be fine for them. But SM9, here comes the hunt. It's going to be Sphinx again every single time. ETS, Sphinx always been the targeted person and player first. It's quite confusing for Ken, though. He's looking at the militants too, whether it's players or it's actually a mob.
Oh boy, and at least it's mobs for now. ETS, they immediately went underground, which is going to be out of sight, out of mind for SM9 for only a short moment, as they're already on the cart moving across. And speaking of which, ETS, they're still dealing with some of all these mobs right underneath. I'm not sure, can SM9 actually hear some of all these gunshots from underneath?
No. Okay, it's actually SM9 opening fire to the side of ETS before, and then they thought it was just a mob after ETS get into the underground tunnel, so they thought maybe there's nobody here. But ETS, knowing there's SM9 who's actually fired against them, just now waiting out if SM9 will take this route later on, so they will gatekeep this and wait it out for SM9's entry. But SM9, if they know exactly that there was a human before, if they didn't get confused, they might not get into the tunnel in the first place.
Yeah, they might actually wait it out for a little bit more. And on the other side of the tunnel is going to be AKG that's also cutting across. So what are the chances here for that three-way battle? Maybe it will happen in a short moment in time, but for now, BD's being super careful, already having his radar up, or should I say his crosshair. So those seems to be clear for the side of Arkong. Just that we don't want to see more dancing until they're at the extraction point, all right? So that they could still get some points out of this matchup, or else we'll see them in flames once again. But ETS, they're on the cards as they're from scavengers to be moving right by 7-9. They take the safer approach. Go for that.
This is going to be also a clue. This is going to be also a clue for 7-9 if they happen to be going into the tunnel afterwards, later after this. And the mines not there. It shows that there will be some teams already down there. So 7-9, they can actually have those information, high valuable information, weighted out around the tunnel area while, they will ambush the players when they try to exit out. I don't know. It depends on how they want to respond to HLV as well. If they want to go just for the surface area, so 7-9 might actually just wait it out for their teams to just find those extraction points, perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps that's going to be the gameplay, but Hasta Vista is also marching up ahead. This is not going to be all too clear-cut for 7-9. Mantap already getting tagged up a little bit. Now, I'm not too sure if this lurk has been spotted yet by the rest of 7-9 because they're all scattered out. They're dealing with a militant as well. Make that too. While they definitely heard those gunshots, Mantap, he's going to hold all the way back. 7-9, they're not really using this time to the best of efficiency. So perhaps they're just making sure that they secure these 4 points against HLV. Oh?
Or maybe they're just going to go for the loot here. But unfortunately, there was quite an open space. Mamparang trying to force it out too much. He wasn't thinking twice. Or maybe he was thinking, maybe that's just a militant. And you got it wrong. It's going to be Ginny Boys, one of the boys of HLV, taking the fight back to the side of 7-9. This seems to be very bleak if 7-9 keep having their members chipped down one by HLV, who got themselves some advantage of those high grounds.
Yeah, it is rather rough, but these grenades are doing wonders for 7-9 though. Alex now already being suppressed, while Fixed Bay is still trying to do some chip damage. Forced to peel back, but the overrun back, he's being exposed. What an angle coming in on what I do believe is Lu Yu that has been able to go in for pickoff. Now down to Ate and also Genie's. Genie's a little further off. Lu Yu now being pinned by Ate as these guys make it look like the PMPL Malaysia bout once again.
But sadly, it's not the same Battle Royale mode because it will be worthless if they don't get their numbers up with their looting value. So they don't have too much time to waste here to deal with the brawls for both teams. And it's more of a loss coming out from HLV since they have higher value of loot compared to 7-9. Now 7-9, they're definitely just going to aim for the teams here. I feel like it's going to be game plan B. They're not going to go for the loot. They're going to try to snatch the loot away from the players. But unfortunately, the plan seems to be dwindling down as HLV just eliminated the entire crew of 7-9.
Wow, happy days for HLV. Having another good brawl off, and 7-9, they were put into such a difficult stance to make certain decisions. At first, it was maybe cutting into the mining areas by going underground, or be on the outskirts here, take a slow approach, but they waited a little too long till the rest of HLV arrived. But when we move into the mining warehouses, there's already 2 teams inbound. It's ETS and Fellas ID.
ETS, they're worth 2.2 million right now. FLS as well. It seems to me that it will be one team winning over this compound here on top of the radiation zone. So, like it or not, for the side of ETS, they have to bring the fight over. And unfortunately for Sphinx, he's always the first one to get knocked down. But FLS got every corner covered. Here comes Pram and Length. He's going to get super scary for ETS right now.
And Songhai is already down. He's holding 1 million in his arms as well. Kozer, he's stuck in his corner. He also does have a couple of these zombies to deal with. And he cannot even shoot out. But he's slowly going to be succumbing to his own demise because of how painful it is. And it's a lose-lose situation. If he shoots a zombie, Fellas ID will also spot him. So, ETS, major loss. It's only down to Benz.
I don't know if Benz can make it out alive with FLS still scouting over if there's any survivor of ETS players out there. After they had such a great run And this is what we talked about, the teams on top. They definitely want to show and flex what they're made of, yeah? And it comes down to FLS taking a reign over when it comes to the most alerting value out of all the teams, yeah? But don't forget about HLV. And despite they don't actually go for the radiation zone, there's also one MCR player that wants some sweet revenge up there. So this might get super cheeky and cute coming up from MCR, but unfortunately, it's been taken out by the players of HLV by the end of the day.
Yeah, this is a huge bounce back moment for HLV. They got 8 elimination points, and by taking down other teams, they're closing into 1 million as well. The only contestants that are able to challenge FaZe ID later on, but whether if they will make their way into the mining warehouse is going to be the other question. So Benz, he's looking around, but he's getting spotted out. Look at FaZe ID. They're smart enough to check these corners. No chance at all for ETS.
Yeah, at least they scored 3 eliminations. It will not go down in vain. That scores will actually play such a big role. But I want to see if FLS with they still have 11 minutes for these teams, by the way. Still plenty of time. So there's a high chance HLV and FLS might bump into each other. It depends on how much HLV willing to get into the radiation zone as well. Now, that will be them crossing the path later. If HLV decided, you know what, we still got plenty of time. We're taking out a couple of teams just now. High chance there won't be enough players down there. They might want to venture out in the radiation zone as well.
Yeah, true enough. And I do believe that perhaps there's also another extraction point that can be seeked out from this spot as well, so that they don't really have to take too many risks involved. But we did actually spot at least one lurker in the form of that lonely Arkong member to try to play something really cheeky, while Genie's having some flames thrown right at him, but he should be able to at least hold out from a distance, eliminates the boss, and more points now added to the table for HLV.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the Roy or Joy fire thrower boss. It's been a while we actually see any bosses laying around. That's going to be one of the first few. Despite we had the entire day here of zombies and militants. That's only like, what, 2 or twice that we actually get to see some boss fights down on when it comes to their final week.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. I thought that, all these teams would really go for boss fights. Even on that round where only FaZe ID were left to play out in what was one of the maps. Even with those bosses running around, they were not interested. They were just continuously hunting for all these high-ticket items through all these secret rooms, as well as whatever crates that they may have actually found. So for Soko, he's just gonna play the waiting game with about, 10 minutes ago? So he could just maybe make a cup of coffee while he's waiting. But gotta be always on the alert as well. HLV, they play through the schools, finds not much other than the boss that was taken down earlier from another sector. They now opens up another one. He's got 600k, so this is just a low-value loot for him.
I'm waiting for that last player of AKG to do something here right now. I don't know if he's waiting around the extraction points just to wait it out for the players in the last minute. We've seen that before, right? And that was HLV actually waiting in the dustbin area before. So AKG can actually do the same against HLV if they want to, but it's also down to if it's going to be FLS extraction point. Now FLS, I don't think they found themselves some extraction point yet, because we didn't see too much of extraction point down in the radiation zone. So high chance they will cross paths in any of these teams. I don't know whether it's going to be HLV or FLS that will be gatekept by that last player of AKG now.
Yeah, this is also one of the exit points. As you can see, the staircase leads all the way down to the underground passage. So it's really down to fellas to really call where exactly will they be exiting out, as Ate is trying to find himself a plot to really exterminate the entire squad of FaZe ID, other than Arkong also having the same plan as well. Oh, take a look at that. He's actually not too far from Soko, so that could be rather interesting.
I think the teams are trying to find last-minute looting for HLV. 7 minutes on the clock left. 8 eliminations by the side of HLV. Definitely more than FLS. FLS, they solely focus on looting up right now. They're taking out the AKG players early on, so they're definitely keeping track that one more player of AKG might be alive. But I don't know if they have any clue that he's still alive or not, because there's chances that they're crossing their mind that maybe the player's been taken out by the other teams. But I love the I don't know what you call this.
The
vampire gargoyle. Is it really a gargoyle? It does look like more of a bat. Is it really a gargoyle?
I think it is.
I don't know
But
if gargoyle can be that cute though. Gargoyle's supposed to be very buff, aren't they?
looks buff enough to me. Maybe he's just
It looks furry.
malnourished. He might be
Malnourished.
starving for a little bit because it's been
Furry,
flying.
malnourished, skinny gargoyle.
Yeah, probably so. Some gargoyles, they're just, stones, statues being around some high buildings. But for Fellas ID, they won't disturb the gargoyle. They have their sweet time inside the radiation area. Fellas, they're just
Makes
happy
me wonder,
distributing.
can you actually shoot the gargoyle? Because I tried once. Well, maybe my aiming sucks, so I didn't actually connect any of the shots. But can you actually shoot them down?
Guy's already malnourished. Why do you want to shoot the gargoyle? Leave the guy
Just
alone.
because, the wings looks majestic. Like, I want the wings for myself. But speaking of Coco, there you go. Yep. Scrappy Coco. That's going to be the last of the AKG players. Unfortunately, ended up with nothing. And that's going to be a 0 round for them since they don't have any eliminations on the side of AKG.
Yeah, a little bit anticlimactic. I think he's just too bored waiting underneath that Fellas ID isn't making that exit. So I guess they're happy enough. Oh, plenty of stash out there coming in for land. Meanwhile, Jerry over on the other corner trying to use emerge up ahead. HLV has already sent one out of the extraction point. So I believe that to be their member with the most found loots, while HLV now journeys their way into this side of the mine warehouse a little rather late. But fellas, they're already booking out. So they might not even bump into each other, while Jerry, he's already making his way out. So it's really down to Ate as well as Genie Boy. Is there going to be just about enough seconds on the clock before Land moves out? And he's still around.
I'm worried for Land that he's lurking too long here. I mean, yeah, he can try and get those eliminations, but he got himself quite a high value too. And last time we saw, it was quite close to HFV players. I think they tried to exit out from the tunnel. And speaking of which, they do have the time. And we do have 4 more minutes to go. So FLS, they don't want to exit on top of the radiation zone, knowing that HLV is around, so they don't want to take the risk too much. That's actually pretty smart coming from FLS, really.
Yeah, they completely steer clear away from danger. Even despite Ate arriving into this scene, they won't be able to actually catch any of these Indonesian players coming from Fellas. So I guess the story is pretty much settled with Fellas ID happy with the 9 million that they've gotten so far, and now everything is pretty much scraps inside this era of play. But HLV, they're happy to see this extraction point. They will eventually use this to their advantage. But is there going to be more that the mining fields actually offer here through the warehouses?
Oh, last time we saw this, he got stuck. So I hope Ate won't be in the same case like how we saw ETS players before. So he needs to make sure he get out from the corner here right now, because time's ticking and they definitely don't have that time to revive him as well.
Yeah, it's sometimes pretty tough when you're dealing with some of all these zombies. So far, HLV has managed those 2 million and added another 2.4 with those elimination points. Oh, look at the damage. Okay, that's a little bit of a scratch. Not
Yep,
too
it's mutants.
Yeah.
But FLS, I don't know if they scored themselves at least. Yeah, they found it 1 extraction point. So they're going to work around this corner just to see if there's any extra loot of high value they can actually gather in the last minute. But they try to close it up with a 10 million value by the end of the day. Plus that 4 times 3, that's going to be 1.2 million worth of the the eliminations of the players too. So there's going to be one of the places where they can actually loot up from the shining orb. I don't know what it's called exactly, but it's going to be one of the places where the players can get one of the highest loot in the very last minute too.
True, and it's great to actually see that fellas are still racking up these points, making it 10 mil just by their packages alone. So Pram, he usually would spot an extraction point. Yes, there is, but it's just around the corner of this team lake. Now,
2 minutes.
Yeah, it's just so little time left. So can they actually have the full squad out? Should be no problem at all, but he's going for the globe.
Yep, the shining globe or the beaming globe, whatever you call it. It seems to be another extra bonus of loot value. But Genie, I mean, I would be worried for HLV right now with one player knocked down. And time's ticking in less than 2 minutes. They have to exit out. And Genie's trying to find that player that been knocked down early on. He's going to climb all the way up trying to find him. But time's ticking, man. We just talked about HLV couldn't afford to lose another member. And they lost it. That was a high value player. They're going down to negative 198,000.
What?
Why did they just let that happen? We just talked about this.
Yeah, and this is going to be problematic. Right now, he will extract out of the match, and it is only down to fellas. And HLV, I thought they would walk away with 2 million at least. And they lost to mobs.
They got cornered down by that boss. And the mutant boss don't look like extraordinary boss because of... It's just slightly bigger in size, but when it comes to strength, it's definitely more stronger than the others. But it just doesn't show too much of, you know, striky resemblance of a boss that looks way different. So they thought it was a normal mutant and it got cornered down exactly like how ETS did before.
Yeah, meanwhile, fellas, they got less than a minute right now. They should stop looting. Already they got the most value. They need to book out. Gotta make that run right now. Let's see if they could actually traverse through the course. Come on, guys. There's no time to loot up. Oh, seems like he extracted from the toilet. Oh, is this a toilet? I don't think so. But good news is that there is what they found to be the flare for them to extract out from. So Lan is already out of the match. As Fellas ID once again dominates in this final hustle in Metro Royale.
And they were aggressively trying to find any contenders early on. But unfortunately for HLV, despite it got quite a number of eliminations, but they didn't translate into most of their loot earnings due to how they just underestimate the power of the boss mutants inside of the radiation zone. So congratulations to Fellas ID with over 10 million worth, almost hitting the 11 million just now.
Yeah, it's just great stuff overall coming in from this exceptional Indonesian team. I believe with the amount of games being played, Fellas ID is undisputed at the top of the table, at least for the current moment. So tomorrow, they won't be playing as many games as compared to what some of these teams have actually played out. Maybe a little bit more involvement of Group C, Group D. So chances are they can actually hold on to this lead for a really good time. And I really thought that, you know, I wanted to compliment Hasta La Vista for doing pretty well for these past 2 rounds until that mob just basically took down the guy with all the valuables. Like, if you have that many valuables, you shouldn't be in that crowd of monsters as well of all these zombies. Your priority should always be ejecting out because that was just 1 minute left on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, the same goes for ETNs. They definitely have a better run compared to the prior weeks before, which was week 2 and week 1. They barely had enough points when it comes to try to push themselves into the grand finals. But what we saw just now coming from ETS will be enough for them to get into the grand finals or not. Because by the end of the day, we have to tally up the scores, which is going to be a lot of numbers and a lot of zeros down there, by the way, due to the crazy amount of values of loot and also when it comes to translating to points. But when it comes to tomorrow, we're going to have a different grouping entirely. Unfortunately, for Group C, they only have one more rotation to go. Tomorrow, we'll be focusing more towards Group D and Group B. So we do see ETS that had a good start here today. Same goes for Fellas ID, right? And Fellas ID definitely will be one of the top contenders when it comes to the top 3. So they will be playing only one more map tomorrow. So we're gonna have a lot of B, which can be nongYing. That's gonna be fun for tomorrow's matches as well.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. This time around, heading to this final battle, 7-9 was one of the teams that were unlikely to be caught, but they did, however, get caught, so they will have no points together with AKG as well as MCR. Meanwhile, our top three definitely consists of fellas with the most points of 12 million, 3.8 at least for HLV, and ETS walks away with those 3 frags, so therefore they're closing in to 900k to settle those scores for now. ETS, at least, for past match, they have been able to also put decent numbers out there. They are still remaining to be a very competitive bunch. But what happens when we do add all the points together? FLS, with so many millions throughout all the rounds, should be sitting at the top.
Yep, it's going to be Drew this time. It's kind of rare to see FLS players alternating when it comes to the chosen one of the Fortune's choice this time, because it's always going to be Aria. This time I love to see that different names keep popping up inside of FLS lineup with over 7 million, 7.5 million, yeah. And 1 elimination is coming up from Drew. I mean, Prem definitely did a lot of eliminations as well, because he's always going to be the bodyguard for FLS. But when it comes to loot, it's Drew and Aria is always going to be the one running with their pockets around. Congratulations for Drew getting this FLS as their MVP. But by the end of the day, it's all about the numbers. It's 100% confirmed that FLS will get into the grand finals, since they were and they are still pretty much one of the top teams when it comes to the Metro Royale, and they got themselves #1 spot in week 1 and week 2. So when it comes to the weekly points, they have the most out there.
Yes, they do, and they would be pretty much convinced to at least be appearing into the grand finals. Now, of course, I'm interested to actually see if today's run for HLV will be just about enough for them to overtake certain squads to get those bonus points into the grand finals, because they're definitely by the borderline to try to make the cut in. But this matchup itself, we saw some early fights coming in. HLV was happy to take down 7-9, and after that, takes a very late approach to get into the mine warehouse, where Fellas ID completely avoided them altogether and played it cool to be able to at least back in that 12 million that they've gotten so far. HLV, we saw that one unlucky player getting clipped out, but here we are. Overall rankings, Fellas ID at #1, and FaZe Clan, who have played a total of 4 games, are trolling in very closely at 25 million.
Now I expect tomorrow will be the rise of nongYing, since they're already kind of, I say, pretty strong when it comes to foundation of Metro Royale right now. They definitely show a different side of them getting their looting done, and they're more serious this week as well. I'm looking for nongYing to push the numbers up here, just to challenge Fellas ID in the grand finals. I feel like they're probably going to be meeting up with us in the grand finals. But when it comes to the top 6 as well, can ETS, Boom, and HLV maintain their statue when it comes to getting the grand final with these numbers up? Because tomorrow we Group B and D will be playing the most out there.
Yeah, and despite the efforts of 7-9, they only walked away with 4.5 mil throughout the course of the games that they play out today. So chances are, like you said, nongYing is on a very steady track in order to find themselves making into the grand final, so long as tomorrow goes smoothly for them. But we shall see, because that's for us to find out for tomorrow. Prime still trying to upkeep with some form of a pace, but this will be the groupings for tomorrow, as we start off with Group A versus Group D, and then heading into the middle, it's B versus D and B versus C. Plenty of games for Group D as well as Group D to play things out.
Yep, but also tomorrow it will be last rotation for Group A at first, which is going to be FaZe Clan, one of the teams that's pretty much kind of okay today. So I'm looking for, can FaZe Clan push the numbers at the very last minute when it comes to the first rotation of tomorrow's matchup, which is going to be, basically tomorrow we're going to have Misty Port as well. But speaking of which, we have quite a contention, yeah. Other than just Fellas ID, we can see the rise of the other teams as well. I'm looking forward when it comes to the grand finals too.
Yeah, I believe grand finals is where they will show some secret strats as well. So with that being said, we've already wrapped up our rounds for Metro Royale for today, Choo-Choo, and we will be getting ourselves ready for Battle Royale. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much, and we'll be signing off. Have a great day, ladies and gents.